96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Good morning. PMH at capacity with COVID-19 patients. Official urge vaccinations. The government is still short on supplies. The health minister explained that discrepancy in vaccine numbers, and the government eyes a PPP for a new prison facility. It's all straight ahead this morning. I'm Dwight Strachan, and this is Morning Blend.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that it's there. It's the start of the end of the old way. Revolution. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, wake up.
Good morning again, Bahamas. It is Wednesday, July 7th, 2021. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Again, I'm Dwight Strachan. In a moment, Chester Robards will be joining us. Also this morning, in Morning Business, we'll be talking about confusion and double standards with the government's travel health visa. And we've got some breaking news coming out of Haiti. We'll get to that in a moment. But first, it's time for the overnight, the latest breaking news from while we're sleeping, and the top national and international headlines this morning. In the overnight, Princess Margaret Hospital Administrator Mary Walker says the hospital has been at capacity with COVID-19 patients in recent days as cases and resulting hospitalizations and deaths have continued to increase. Speaking yesterday at a press conference, she said that over the past 5 to 7 days, they've been at capacity, and the more severe people are being taken on for ventilated purposes at Doctors Hospital West. Walker also saying that South Beach has 2 ventilated patients as well over the last 72 hours. Earlier this week, former Minister of Health Dr. Dwayne Sands warned that more restrictions might be necessary in New Providence to curb the spread of the virus, as recently was done on Bimini following a surge in cases from June 28th through July 4th. 303 new cases were confirmed in the country, the majority of which were recorded on New Providence. Hospitalized cases also significantly increased from 38 people in hospital with COVID on June 28th to 59 people on July 4th. Health Minister Remert Wells says that no decisions have been made on increasing mitigation measures at this time. Wells also explaining the reason for a disparity between the number of COVID-19 vaccine doses administered in the country and the number of doses the government has so far secured. He says officials in their reporting included the number of doses administered to Bahamians abroad. In a statement on Sunday, the National COVID-19 Vaccine Consultative Committee said the total doses of vaccines received in the country to date was 92,200, or 20,000 doses from India, 67,200 from COVAX, and 5,000 doses borrowed from Antigua. However, it said 95,992 doses of the vaccine had been administered in the country. When asked about this yesterday, Wells said that on their website, they've asked Bahamians to step forward who have taken the vaccine abroad, and that these numbers were counted as individuals who would have received vaccines in the U.S. Former Deputy Prime Minister Cynthia Mother Pratt, suffering from COVID-19, had to be hospitalized. The PLP confirming this yesterday. PLP leader Philip Brave Davis saying that her physician has said that she's resting comfortably in stable condition and is in for observation as a precaution given the sensitivity required for COVID-19 treatment. Air accident investigators are trying to determine why an IAI Westwind jet crashed and burned as it attempted to take off from Treasure Key International Airport on Abaco, killing 2 Bahamian pilots. The NASA Guardian understanding the pilots now are Levan Paul and Jason Allen. Chief investigator of air accidents Delvin Major saying yesterday that the two American pilots flew the aircraft into Abaco on July 2nd, and they were trying to reach the pilots that flew the aircraft. They're still trying to locate them. And the Ministry of National Security looking to present Cabinet with a public-private partnership arrangement for the construction of a new medium-security prison facility. That's according to National Security Minister Marvin Dames. Dames says a committee has been established to focus on that project. The Court of Appeal upholding the validity of criminal libel laws, paving the way for the trial of Omar Archer to continue. Archer's legal team had argued that libel was not subject to criminal sanctions and that those offended should sue. However, the Court of Appeal panel of Justices of Appeals, Sir Michael Barnett, Roy Jones, and Carolina Bethel, disagreed. In the decision, Sir Michael said that, quote, "We live in an era when social media permits the most false, scandalous, and defamatory of allegations to be made and then distributed and published widely in a matter of minutes or indeed seconds. Where these allegations are calculated and intended to destroy the reputations of persons, the criminal law must be able to provide a sanction rather than leave a victim to a civil claim for damages which may be worthless." Overseas, breaking news out of Haiti. The Associated Press reporting that Haitian President Jovenel Moïse has been assassinated after a group of unidentified people attacked his private residence. That's according to the country's interim prime minister. In a statement today, Moïse's wife, First Lady Martine Moïse, is also hospitalized, according to interim premier Claude Joseph. Joseph condemned what he called a, quote, "hateful, inhumane, and barbaric act," adding that Haiti's national police and other authorities had the situation in the Caribbean country under control. The killing late Tuesday comes amid deepening political and economic stability and a spike in gang violence. And from South Korea, cases of COVID-19 spiking, 1,212 new cases reported today, a steep rise in coronavirus infections unseen since the winter outbreak as it slips into another surge while most of its people are still unvaccinated. Health experts say the government sent the wrong message by pushing for a premature easing of social distancing. Packed restaurants, bars, and stores and huge beer-drinking crowds at parks along Seoul's Han River in recent weeks have illustrated how the country has let its guard down despite a slow vaccine rollout. Prime Minister Kim Boo-kyum saying officials will consider tougher distancing rules if transmissions continue to grow over the next 2 to 3 days. President Moon Jae-in, in a separate meeting, instructed officials to swiftly deploy police officers, troops, and civil servants to help with contact tracing. The government had planned to raise the cap on private gatherings from 4 to 6 people, extend indoor dining at restaurants by 2 hours until midnight, and allow vaccinated people to go without masks starting this month. But officials in Seoul and nearby areas held off the new rules as infections rose. In sports, world champion Stephen Gardner running a season's best time, and Olympic champion Shawnee Miller-Uibo settling for second as the Naming Elite athletes got back in action, competing at the 2021 Gualay Istavan Memorial in Hungary Tuesday in a highly anticipated matchup billed as the race of the meet. Gardner was set to line up against U.S. national champion Michael Norman and world record holder Wade Vanderneek of South Africa in the first meeting ever between the three Olympic favorites. However, Van Niekerk was a no-show, leaving Gardner and Norman to battle each other for the title. Gardner fell short of his meet record of 44.30 seconds set 6 years ago, but still took the tape, finishing first in the men's 400 meters in a season's best time of 44.47. Coming off a groin injury, Miller-Uibo crossed the finish line in second in the women's 200 meters in 22.15 seconds. It was her first loss in the women's 200 meters since 2017, snapping her 16-race unbeaten streak. Jamaican Sharika Jackson was impressive, winning in 21.96 seconds. Both went under Miller-Uibo's meet record of 22.18 seconds. And there's no doubt that Bahamian women's professional basketball player Jonquel J.J. Jones is going to be named a WNBA All-Star this season. She's actually a front-runner for the league's Most Valuable Player award. So being named an All-Star was really a no-brainer. Jones, along with two of her Connecticut Sun teammates, recently named to represent their teams at the conferences in the 17th WNBA All-Star Game. You can read more about this in today's Guardian Sports section. And more from basketball from the NBA. Chris Paul carrying his Phoenix Suns past Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Milwaukee Bucks in the NBA Finals opener. Chris Paul waited 16 years to get to the NBA Finals, bringing with him a team starving for its first championship. Paul had 32 points and 9 assists in an NBA Finals debut that was well worth the wait. Devin Booker, his teammate, scored 27 points, and the Suns beat the returning Antetokounmpo and his Milwaukee Bucks 118-105 in Game 1 last night. Paul scored 16 points in the third quarter alone. And Phoenix fans waited 28 years to see the NBA Finals again, screaming in delight. Game 2 set for Thursday. That's sports, and that's the overnight. Time for your first look at weather. In your first look at weather for today, we've got streaming moisture from the outer rain bands of Tropical Storm Elsa passing over southern Florida, and that will continue to impact portions of the northwest Bahamas today, while a tight pressure gradient associated with Elsa and a building surface ridge of high pressure will generate moderate to fresh winds across the islands. Boaters, especially in the northwest Bahamas, should remain vigilant, extra vigilant for waterspout activity in or near showers and thunderstorms, and it's swimmers and beachgoers should exercise caution due to the risk of rip currents along east and south coast beaches. And everybody again being advised to limit outdoor activities and remain hydrated due to heat indices expected again in the triple digits today. For today, for the Northwest Bahamas, your forecast calls for partly cloudy to occasionally overcast, humid, and breezy conditions with isolated showers and thunderstorms through tonight. Small craft operators should exercise caution. Wind southeast to south at 15 to 20 knots, seas 4 to 7 feet. For the central and southeast Bahamas today, variably cloudy, warm, and breezy with a chance of a few isolated showers or thunderstorms through tonight. Small craft operators should exercise caution. Winds east to southeast at 15 to 20 knots, seas 4 to 7 feet. We're off to a very warm start so far this morning. 82 already in Nassau, 82 in Freeport. Look for highs getting around 90 Fahrenheit, 32 Celsius. Overnight lows down getting down to about 76 Fahrenheit, 24 Celsius. That's your first look at weather this morning. We'll have a look at your extended forecast and the tropics coming up after traffic in just a bit.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up.
It's time for a break, but when we come back, we're discussing the day's top stories right here on your home for fresh news and smart talk all day, Guardian Radio 96.9.
The end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
Stay a step ahead of technology with certainty and support from Custom Computers. Our know-how team is here to help you zero in on your next big tech purchase, finding solutions that take your productivity to the next level using only the best and most reliable brands. With 4 stores all across Nassau on East Bay, West Bay, Old Fort Bay, and Palmdale, there's no stopping you from stepping up your tech. Reach out to us at 396-1100. Find trust in your tech. Count on Custom Computers.
The summer you deserve is here at Alive.
We do it better.
Capture more moments and go further with our prepaid plans for everyone. Roam free with postpaid and stay connected with MiFi on the go anywhere, anytime. We do it better with more device offerings, accessories, exclusive deals with the list, and so many opportunities to win big. From travel vouchers, grocery vouchers, Alive merch, and more. Alive. Believe in best.
Put me in your pocket, take me away, yeah, I'm ready for you.
Travel less, but vacation more by indulging yourself and your family with the ultimate staycation getaway at Atlantis. Sleep in, relax, play, go out. Say yes to a fantastic staycation in your very own paradise just over the bridge. For reservations, call 363-6483 or visit Atlantis Local on Facebook for details.
RBC Royal Bank introduces our new Saturday banking services on Saturday, July 17th at Cable Beach, Carmichael, and Prince Charles, operating 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. New services will focus on helping clients with advice-oriented needs and getting them more comfortable with RBC digital banking. Cash will only be available through our ATMs and accepted for deposits via our ATMs or non-stop depository services. If you have questions, call our advice center at 356-8500. Reimagine Saturday services with RBC.
There's only one way to have a better morning. How? Start your mornings the best way with our 2 for $6 breakfast sandwiches at Wendy's. For a limited time, choose any 2 of your favorite breakfast sandwiches, including the fresh Strachan sack muffin, honey buttermilk chicken biscuit, double sausage muffin, or the sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit. Wash it all down with our cold brew shake or coffee. Better mornings always start at Wendy's. Wendy's, different inside and out. Excludes airport locations.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that it's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We are streaming live on Guardian Talk Radio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Flow Channel 612. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan. Joining me now, Chester Robards.
Why you look confused just now?
Was I'm trying to get over this breaking news out of Haiti. It's just
okay.
Wow, what's going on there?
Crazy.
But great to have you with us, sir.
Thank you.
All right. And you can join the conversation this morning, folks. We'll give you the phone numbers to call in just a bit, but you can tweet us at MorningBlend969, Facebook us, facebook.com/MorningBlend969. Text us 422-4796 on the Guardian Radio text line powered by BTC. Standard text rates apply. Coming up this morning, more weather and traffic. And throughout the morning, we've got a lot to get to with what's in the news this morning, including a very interesting story. I think you might have seen the video of the traffic police officer trying to stop that. What did they call them? Motorcyclists when you're on a scooter? Yeah, I guess so, right? Sure. And trying to stop him. Yeah. And they were fighting in the middle of the highway. And boy, that's people were recording, and one of the videos,
usual,
it seemed like it was a comedy show, but the commissioner having some harsh words about that. We're going to talk about that this morning as well. So a lot to get to. Then later in Morning Blend Business, the travel health visa. What's going on? Some people it's being waived for, but others no, and some people paying this, and some people what's going on? We're going to talk about that this morning. Wayne Monroe is going to be here with us this morning to talk about that as well. That's coming up. But let's get into what's in the news. And in the news, as we told you as we were going on the air, news just came in just a few minutes ago of the assassination of Haiti's president, Jovenel Moïse, in Port-au-Prince. The Associated Press reporting on it first. Now all the other agencies have picked it up. We read the Associated Press's story, USA Today reporting on this as well. Haitian President Jovenel Moïse assassinated after a group of unidentified people attacked his private residence, according to the country's interim prime minister in a statement today. First Lady Martine Moïse is hospitalized following the attack late Tuesday, according to Premier Claude Joseph. Joseph condemned what he called a, quote, hateful, inhumane, and barbaric act, adding that Haiti's national police and other authorities had the situation in the Caribbean country under control. The nation of more than 11 million people had grown increasingly unstable, and disgruntled under Moïse's rule. Its economic, political, and social woes have deepened, with gang violence spiking heavily in the capital of Port-au-Prince, inflation spiraling, and food and fuel becoming scarcer at times in a country where 60% of the population makes less than $2 a day. The troubles come as Haiti still tries to recover from the devastating 2010 earthquake and Hurricane Matthew that struck in 2016. The 53-year-old Moïse had been ruling by decree for more than 2 years after the country failed to hold elections, which led to Parliament being dissolved. Opposition leaders have accused him of seeking to increase his power, including approving a decree that limited the powers of a court that audits government contracts and another that created an intelligence agency that answers only to the president. In recent months, opposition leaders demanded that he step down, arguing that his term legally ended in February 2021. Moise and supporters maintained that his term began when he took office in early 2017, following a chaotic election that forced the appointment of a provisional president to serve during a year-long gap. Haiti was scheduled to hold general elections later this year. Again, Haitian President Jovenel Moïse assassinated overnight, and the First Lady is in the hospital following that attack. Wow. All right.
Definitely pray for Haiti this morning.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so that's some big news there, and we'll continue to see and hear more from that, I'm sure, throughout the day.
Yep.
Just always some challenges. Always some challenges there.
That's the story of the life of the country.
Yeah, yep, definitely. Wow. Yeah, okay, so I'm sure, again, if you have comments on that, you can let us know. You can tweet us, Facebook us, or text us 422-4796, and you might wish to call in on it, I'm not sure. 325-4316, 325-4259, and our other line is playing games with us this week, but it's functioning. 323-6232 as well. So you can try those numbers if you want to call in. All right. Boy. All right. So in other news, we've got a lot going on here as well, of course. Word yesterday that Princess Margaret Hospital is at capacity with COVID-19 patients. Officials are urging vaccinations, but as you know, the government is short on supplies. So this is a really tricky situation for us to be in. Take a listen to this report from our Jasmine Brown.
The hospital administrator's comments come as the Ministry of Health continues to report an increase in COVID-19 cases over the last week. Walker says that increase in cases has also meant a jump in hospitalizations. In fact, Walker says the hospital has been at capacity with COVID-19 patients in recent days.
Over the last 5 to 7 days, we are at capacity at Princess Margaret Hospital, and the more severe persons are actually being taken care of for ventilated purposes at Doctors Hospital West, and South Beach as well had 2 ventilated patients over the last 72 hours.
Earlier this week, former Minister of Health Dr. Dwayne Sands warned that more restrictions might be necessary on New Providence to curb the spread of the virus, as was recently done on Bimini following a surge in cases. From June 28th to July 4th, 303 new cases were confirmed in the Bahamas, the majority of which were recorded on New Providence. Hospitalized cases also significantly increased from 38 people in hospital with COVID-19 on June 26th to 59 people on July 4th. Despite the increase, Minister of Health Leonard Wells says no decisions have been made on increasing mitigation measures.
We follow the recommendations of our health team in the Ministry of Health. There are constant meetings during the week as to our circumstance, our existing situation in regards to COVID in the country. And those updates are forwarded on to the Cabinet of the Bahamas via this minister. They are taken into consideration, and based on what we perceive as both in our national interest from the standpoint of health, protecting their health and the livelihood of the Bahamian people economically as well, decisions are made as to how we will proceed in regards to emergency orders and health protocols.
Even though the country is facing a shortage of COVID vaccine doses, Wells maintained that vaccination is the solution to the issue and urged more people to get vaccinated. Walker also emphasized the importance of vaccination as she revealed the majority of people hospitalized are not vaccinated.
Our clinical teams are actually indicating that the vast majority of the persons that we are seeing currently in Princess Margaret Hospital and South Beach Health Center, they are not vaccinated. These are the persons that are in hospital right now, currently receiving care. There are a minority, I would say about 2%, that would have had just one immunization. But the vast majority of the persons that we are dealing with in the Princess Margaret Hospital and the South Beach Health Center have not had any vaccination.
Reporting for Guardian News Network, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Okay. Boy. This is getting scary again. What are we going to do here? Right? This is what we're hoping to avoid with all the measures that were in place.
Yep.
But here we go again. And it's happening all over, as we see.
Not just
happening, right. And the officials keep pointing to this being an issue now for unvaccinated people.
Right.
Yep. But the hesitancy is still there, and compounding that, a lack of vaccine now.
Right.
So what do we do in this situation?
We're scheduled to get some in a few, 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks?
So they say.
Mm.
Yeah. Let's get your views on it, folks. 325-4316, 325-4259, and 323-6232. Let's go to the phone lines. Good morning, caller. You're on Morning Blend.
Good morning, Dwight.
Hi, good morning.
How you doing? Good morning to your co-host.
Good morning.
Yeah, Dwight, Mr. Dwayne Sands was saying that we're going to be probably needing more restrictions due to the rise in COVID cases in Nassau.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, that ain't no hard solution to figure out, you know. I think. I mean, since all the crews, home porting and all of the tourism going on. I'm not talking about basically the tourism, but it really falls in that criteria because what happened is how much people he said came to the Bahamas since they opened up, and it is a big boom now, like almost akin to 2019. That's what Mr. Diagula said. So why is it? I mean, like before all of the cruise ship and the home porting and the tourists, all this tourist boom and tourists who are vaccinated moving around, because vaccinated persons doesn't have to wear a mask, but it is no guarantee that these vaccinated persons are not spreaders. In essence, they're the super spreaders because they don't get sick from it.
Well, we're not there yet. We haven't said they don't have to wear masks yet.
Well, I tell you what, when you exhale, those things that you have on your face, exhale still come out, inhale still come in, because they are not sealed on your face. They are not wearing like the charcoal or respirators or the seal on your face that really does the job. So I mean, like even the mask wearing and all of the BS that they tell us to do, it isn't really. I mean, like you might as well not have a mask on because those masks are not sealed, and people are breathing in, breathing out. And then I asked you the question weeks ago. You make a big joke out of it. I asked you, what does COVID smell like? Ki, ka, ka, ka.
It was hilarious. It was.
It is hilarious. But you know what? They say people who have COVID, like the taste, they lose the taste and smell. They ain't lose no taste and smell. That's how bad COVID tastes. Inside your nose and inside your mouth.
Oh, that's funny.
And you know what? We misunderstand. Everything in life have a taste and smell. You know what? We as living beings, everything, unless we block our senses, we can sense it. Why this COVID thing? I asked the question months ago, basically, what does it smell like? Big joke. But when you find out what it smells like, you know how to deal with it. And when you have it, you wouldn't even have to go to test because you know what it tastes like. Because if you could smell it, you could taste it.
All right, so earlier you were bringing up the tourists. What are you suggesting? We should close the borders again?
I mean, like, we don't regulate behemoths and pour behemoths down water stagnate. No. What has been happening is since the borders have been open and all this home porting and up and down and all this mixing and this and that, and people who can go to work, who get vaccinated, can go on their job, but they go home to their family and they bring it home to their family, but the family ain't vaccinated, so the family can catch it because they ain't protected, they're going to get very sick. What they say in the hospital now, people who are in the hospital are mostly who are unvaccinated, only about 2% who are vaccinated who are in there, okay? So where the problem lies, with the vaccinated people going home and spreading to their family, and the government ain't protecting us, because they're protecting us, have any interest in us. They'll tell us the truth, how to deal with it. From inception, they give us lies because they tell us about the dog, your dog, watch their foot, or they're just BS. You know, and they have us up and down like fools. A year and a half and still won't put more time on how people lock down like stupid fools, man. It don't make no sense.
Okay. Well, I mean, you do realize this is the entire world, and the human race is very limited, and we all don't know. We're all learning every week more and more. So it isn't just this government, and it's everybody in the world doing this because we don't know. We don't know. They are making it up as they go along because this is a new thing, right? That's why they were calling it the novel coronavirus. They'd never seen anything like this before. But some of the stuff you're saying, that I don't think that's quite how it's working there.
Yeah.
But it takes it's a multi-pronged approach to dealing with this. Yes, the things you have to do. You do have to sanitize. You do have to clean.
Nobody ever said mask wearing was 100% effective.
They definitely said
Actually,
that.
if you look around anywhere, it's not.
Right. They definitely said that.
But it decreases the chances.
Exactly. Right. So everything, you've got to do everything in tandem, right? You've got to, increase your vitamin intake and eat healthy and drink less and exercise, all those things, of course, all those things you're supposed to be doing, as you should always be doing, all the time. So, right, this argument that we keep hearing, no one's telling us to go, and no one needs to tell you that. You should be doing that. You should know that already, right? But all of that in addition to these other things we have to be doing. So, but we do have to take some personal responsibility here as well.
Absolutely.
Right? And be careful. So Bahamians traveling, and be careful, be wary of the people traveling here, despite what their tests say. We know how that works. You could test negative today and be positive. We know this, right?
Yeah.
So you have to be careful. We've been talking about this for a year and a half now. You'd think we'd be. Anyway. Okay, let's take this call. Good morning, call. You're on the air.
Good morning, man. How are you doing?
Doing well. Good morning. Hi.
Well, I'm wondering if this is a possible solution. I don't want to blame anybody for this because we are responsible for it. But keep in mind, there is this hazmat, the ones that require to be refrigerated at a very low degree, and they only last for a short time. They seem to be the ones that protect you 100% from basically any kind of viral infection. But we can't afford them because they're like $4,000 each or maybe somewhere less. But could we try this? We are borrowing money left, right, and center to do all kinds of development and all this stuff and neglecting the fact that humans are dying. Is it possible to determine exactly how much money we need to feed every citizen in this country for a month, 2 months, and so forth? Let's get that number in our heads. And let's shut the country down and make sure that everybody is fed, everybody is sheltered. And stop these foreigners, and I hate to use that word foreign, but stop other people from coming in and we don't know who they are and what they're bringing in. Is it possible to just shut the country down for a period of time and make sure everybody is comfortable with some of this money we're borrowing left, right, and center?
I'm sure the answer is no.
We'd have to borrow more.
I'm sure and you won't only be able to do that once. You'll have to do that very often. Every time you open up, it'll happen again. So this is why officials are saying you have to learn to live with it and get vaccinated and continue to sanitize and practice social distancing. You see countries that eased up on social distancing. You see what's happening now? South Korea, they're regretting that. Sorry? Yep.
Indonesia for sure. They seem to be skyrocketing.
Right. So it's happening all over. So you cannot let up. All right.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
And
Plus,
the variants.
Yes, new variants popping up. And if we do what he said, I think the mental health problems that will arise from that, I know I would have to. Oh, boy. Okay. So let's get to your text messages now, 422-4796. Someone says here, let's pray for Haiti and watch all of our borders diligently as well. This one says here, this is what happens when the Israelites want to have their own way and won't adhere to COVID protocols. They won't party and have a good time, then blame the government when they get sick. I'm sure that's partially it, but again, we have to look at what's being imported as well. I'm sure that is also playing a role. Right? So it's not just us. And yes, and people traveling. Travel by everybody. Travel by people who live here and people who don't live here. That is a major factor in this. Another person says the lack of a plan to deal with COVID patients has been a problem that has been spoken about for a while. The government decided to build sidewalks instead of increasing capacity to facilitate COVID patients. $20 million on sidewalks and parks was or is not important during a health crisis. Capital works should have been geared toward facilitating COVID patients. We need to prepare ourselves to live with COVID. Okay. Well, you might be partially right there. I don't know if they didn't have the plan. They just kept saying they could be easily overwhelmed. And, yeah, but, why is this news? Do you remember this week I told you that cases were spiking in direct correlation to the mass influx of tourists? I don't know who you are, but okay. I also said 2 days ago, wait for it, the exponential spike is coming. What I did not know was PMH was at capacity then. How could we have gotten to capacity with PMH? The tourism minister and the health minister have been giving public statements about how well we were doing and get ready for elections. If the F&M cannot see that Dr. Minutes is leading us off a cliff at 100 miles per hour, I don't know what to say. Any child could have predicted this spike in cases, but these guys just barreled towards it, chastising Bahamians and giving the red carpet to COVID variant-carrying tourists. 5 people died this week. Before the cruise ship cases, we were going down. Before the cruise ships, cases were going down. Okay, have the cruise ships, but treat them as the potential carriers they are. Tell them to behave. Wow.
What are you talking about before the cruise ships cases were down?
I guess before the home porting.
That's not true.
Yeah, we were in a terrible place by February, March, April. Each month is higher and higher than the month before, right? And since the home porting, we actually went down a little bit. But that's also because more people were getting vaccinated.
Right.
So there's always a whole lot of variables. And it's hard to pinpoint one thing to blame, and that is what the point we're making, all right? It's everything. It's everything. And this is why we have to be careful as we were a year ago at this time.
Yep.
Or before a year ago, since July was the start of the downward spiral. So, yeah, June of last year. Let's take this call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Dwight.
Hi.
And good morning, Chester.
Morning.
Yeah, Dwight and Chester. Yeah, the virus, right? I mean, with the last text was send the text. I agree with them 100%. Because if we was watching the situation from last year when we was closed down, right? We was in a lot of this rise and this COVID, right? But every time we open up for travel, whether it's because tourism in my view can be the catalyst to carry this COVID-19 around the world, because people traveling. So and tourism being our number one industry, we're going to have to find different ways to deal with this, because like it was mentioned, we have to live with it. But we can't live with it with the way they are working with it today, right? Because they ain't making no sense. You know what I'm saying? So we can definitely need to live with it, because tourism is the lifeline for the Bahamas, and it's also it can also potentially be the deadline for the Bahamas, because by tourism, people can travel, and a lot of persons can come to this country without even have with nothing, no vaccination, no test, no, because they could do it. But and we need the money. But final thing, Dwight, you think we can need to get the Prime Minister, we have to quickly get registered. You think we can need to have a COVID test to get vaccinated? I mean, to get the vote. I mean, to present to the voters box, or full vaccination, because it seems like this is where we are heading, right? And if the polls, if the election is going to be something of that, where you would need to present a test to vote, or to show that you are tested, fully tested.
Let's just stop right there. No. No.
Well, I hope it's no Dwight.
There's no way.
I hope it's no Dwight, because and I want it to be no. I'm pulling it straight to be yes, but these people, they can battle you. You guys have a nice day.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Let's take some more calls. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Dwight and Just Toyota.
Doing well. Good morning.
Good.
Okay, and good morning to the nation. You can hear me clearly, Dwight?
Yes, as always.
Good. Dwight, remember I spoke to you 2 weeks ago when you all first brought out the news broadcast, and Chester was on the show as well with regards to the numbers that I found concerning that the government was pronouncing about the amount of persons vaccinated in the country versus the amount of vaccines that we have. You remember that conversation?
Sure.
Yeah,
And I challenged what was being reported, and Chester offered the explanation that, well, the numbers were there, but I explained, well, okay, if they were there to justify what was being reported, y'all didn't play it on the report, and so it's misleading. But nonetheless, it comes to pass that it still is misleading, very much so, because the government's report states very clearly in the news that you all played on Guardian that that the amount of vaccinations issued in country, and then the ministers seeking to add a caveat that was not stated in the report, stating that they added the amount of persons who were also vaccinated out of country, which is very misleading. And so it leads one to wonder, just from this sampling and other samplings, that if you can trust anything that's being reported by the government officials. If you take note, Dwight, of a report by the director for infectious disease last week on the news, she stated that it's the government who are making the decisions and not them as the technocrats, right? Because you had this situation where the government over the last 15, 16 months was trying to make it seem as though they are making the decisions based on recommendations. But the director clearly spoke to that and stated that they are not doing that. They are not a part of it.
And Tom, that's semantics right there. I mean, they're
my
getting
final
advice from
And
the
my-
health
and my final
professionals
point-
and making decisions, but they won't necessarily
and my final
directly
point-
make. Okay, you can make your point in a second. I'm just saying that you're being a little misleading yourself.
I'm not, Dwight. As a matter of fact, it's the government who's
That
being-
doesn't mean what you're saying.
It's the government who's being misleading. and
No,
because
no, that's very clear to everyone. You're getting
would
advice from the
recommend
health. Give me 1 second, Anton. They're getting
Okay.
advice from the health professionals and making decisions, right? It won't be directly exactly what they say, because if we did what they said, I guarantee you the whole place would have been locked down for 5 years, right? So it can't be like that, because people's livelihoods are going to be in jeopardy. They have to take the advice from them and from the business community and from other people and other factors.
I don't find that to be the case, Dwight. I do not find that to be the case, because many decisions that the Prime Minister made, he was unable to justify, inclusive of this latest decision.
Well, that's a
which you
different
see-
story.
Which you see Powell is stepping up almost on a daily basis and speaking out against, and it is with reference to allowing persons on the cruise lines to come into our country once they are fully
All right, so
vaccinated
what are you
without being
suggesting?
tested.
Are you
And
also
so
suggesting
that
we
is not-
lock the
that is
borders
not
down?
That is not based on scientific data.
Mhm.
It is not based on the advice from the medical fraternity. It is not based on the advice from his COVID coordinator. It is not based on the
Okay,
advice
yeah, we
from
get it.
our director.
What are you
Okay?
suggesting? What are you suggesting?
No,
What
but-
should
but
happen?
That's not my point.
No, we want to know
My
though.
final point-
Because we point out all the things that we see. Everybody sees that. What
I
are you
always give the
suggesting?
recommendations when I speak, Dwight.
What?
And it is, I always give
Well,
recommendations.
we don't recall, though.
I've been saying from the start, it's foolhardy. It's silly. It's ridiculous. It's irresponsible. It's neglect of the highest order to allow anyone to come into our country who is fully vaccinated without knowing their COVID-19 status. Because just for the mere fact that the science dictates that, as Dr. Nakia stated 2 days ago, or yesterday when she was on your show, the vaccines only prevent up to 60% contraction of the COVID-19. In particular, this most transmitted variant being the Delta. So it's absolutely foolhardy to allow for persons to simply come into your country without being tested. You can maintain that protocol because it's for their protection as well as it's for the protection of your citizens and residents and people visiting your country. It's irresponsible of a government to take a decision otherwise, Dwight, as what this government is taking. But my final point, Dwight, what I really wanted to say is this, and I've been saying this for the longest, because of the government's poor testing protocols, which is the testing protocol should be the basis by which you identify and make visible the invisible enemy in our country, being COVID and the variants. Therefore, as a result, we can expect, because of our very poor testing protocols, even 16 months into fighting this COVID-19, since we had our first lockdown, we will be the slowest or the last to recover from COVID-19 in our region and perhaps in the world until and unless the government changes its stupid policies of testing, because we cannot identify what is amongst us until it identifies itself in the most severe of cases. As we are seeing now, where we are at capacity, and we haven't even begun to see the results of what the cruise ships are going to bring to this country because of this stupid policy. Thank you for the opportunity, Dwight. God bless.
Okay. Thank you very much. Let's take this call, and we'll get some of your text messages and take a break. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Dwight. How are you?
Doing well. Good morning.
Just want to make a quick comment. I've been listening to these conversations on this very difficult topic for over a year now, and the only thing I want us all to focus on is the solution. We know all the problems. We hear everything, and guess what? It's incredibly difficult, and no government across the world has gotten it right. No citizen across the world has gotten it right. All I'm asking persons to do, please, my fellow citizens, if you're going to call, please let's share solutions. What do you think? And Dwight continues to ask, what do you think is the solution? Because what I see taxi drivers happy because they are having fares. I see buses on the street happy that they have customers. I see vendors selling their wares. But everyone's now talking about locking down and shutting down. And we all know that's not a solution because people need to live. So all I'm asking, people, let's think about what can be a solution, because I don't have a solution. And I don't think anyone really has it. But if we all talk about solutions, maybe we'll find one together. Thanks for taking my call.
Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right. Let's get to your messages. This text here, Dwayne Chester. If the authorities want to resort to more curfews and lockdowns, that will be their call. But I will continue to wear my mask, practice proper hygiene, and keep my distance until they get a full understanding on this vaccine, because it really appears like they're making this thing up as they go along. Well, they're talking about a previous caller who was talking BS. Growing up, you hear, if you don't listen, you will learn. You have a section of our population that are not listening, so COVID-19 is teaching them a lesson. Still partying, still having rush outs, not following the protocols. This text here, since people aren't listening about traveling large groups and parties, and so many don't want the vaccine, the government can't do much more either than to let the virus do the herd immunity here and see what happens. Yeah, okay, but not many of us are going to make it on the other side of that, though.
I feel like they always kind of said it's going to have to play out eventually. You know, and with the vaccine, things were supposed to get a little easier if people took it. But there's so much hesitancy. You know, things are still as bad as they are. What are you going to do?
Wow. No. Another text here. No, Dwight, the cases in March were in direct correlation to spring breakers. Tourist travel again. Why do we forget so easily? I don't know about that. I don't think, maybe some of it, but I can't.
I feel like we didn't have a big spring break.
We really didn't. Not like Florida did.
Yeah, no.
It's a lot of Bahamians were traveling. A lot of Bahamians were doing their thing. There were tourists coming in, yes, absolutely. The numbers have been going up every month for tourism, right? So that's also a part of it. If you want to call those people spring breakers, fine. Maybe they came during the spring, sure. But if you mean generally spring breakers, we refer to college kids.
Right.
But tourists who came in the spring, fine. Okay, spring breakers, sure. Travel in any event, yeah. This person goes on to say, do you know what's ironic? In 1492, oh boy, Chris Columbus came here on 3 big ships carrying a deadly infectious disease that wiped out the natives. The natives showed up in their ceremonial dress to welcome those people. In 2021, 600 years later, 3 big ships are here with potentially 1 or more people. What are you doing? Carrying a deadly infectious disease. You see the tourism minister beside the welcome John Canoe banner?
Oh, I see what you did there. That make no sense.
Okay. Anyway, the people who are blaming the tourists Are they vaccinated? You can't run from it. It's either a few deaths from opening up or thousands from the economy being closed. Choose your poison pill and shut up.
You know, none of it is foolproof, right? Because remember that first, I think it was the first Royal Caribbean ship that went out. They found 2 kids to be positive, 2 minors on the ship to be positive. And because they continue to do random testing on the boat while the boat's sailing. So, something to get through.
Yep. Another one here. Amazing how dumbed down the people are. The COVID virus does not warrant the vaccination of millions or billions of people with an experimental drug to which the makers are not responsible for any adverse side effects. The most dangerous thing about COVID is the economic and financial aspect. Had they not shut down the person's livelihood and made the vaccine a means to get their lives back, people would not see COVID as a big deal or take the vax. Well, I think you are very wrong, but okay. I hear you, but I don't think. Anyway, okay, sure. Anyway, this one says here. Goodness gracious. What? Okay, a lot of these messages are crazy. Yeah. Okay. We're going to take that final call?
Huh?
Yeah. I can't read this. Let's take this call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Dwight. How are you?
Doing well.
And to your guest and to the wider Bahamas. Dwight, is it fair that our government is asking us to take a vaccine that has been unproven, untested? We don't know whether the vaccine actually works. And the persons who are responsible for us taking the vaccine is saying that it only worked up to 60%. I mean, what is it that we're supposed to do if persons who are vaccinated is coming into the country and still infecting people? I mean, what is it that we're supposed to do?
Do we have evidence that is happening?
Okay. Obviously, we have evidence that that's happening because if persons are coming in who are fully vaccinated and we're finding that they're carrying COVID and has to transport them back out.
Where did you find it? Where do we hear that from?
We heard it on the cruise ship.
No. 2 minors.
They were not
vaccinated.
As minors have not been vaccinated in any large scale.
They haven't been vaccinated.
Yeah.
I mean, but still, even though with opening up the borders and the tourists coming in and stuff by cruise ship or by the airport or however, they're supposed to be fully vaccinated according to government, and cases seem to be ramping up and going out of control again. I mean, the hospital is at capacity. What is it? Are we supposed to just continue to take this vaccine that is unproven, and we don't know what it is doing to our bodies? Are we supposed to just line up like sheep and just go and take this vaccination and not knowing what the final outcome is going to be? I mean, is that's what you are basically saying to me?
You don't have to take it. It's completely up to you.
It's completely up to me.
Absolutely.
I mean, but if you don't take it, it seems like you're being penalized because you can't take part in certain things, and then the government is talking about vaccine day and this benefit and that benefit. So I'm being disenfranchised for not taking it, basically.
That could be the case, yes. And that's gonna happen all over the world. I mean. Yeah. Travel is easier for vaccinated people now. Well, some vaccinated people.
That is for me, sir. It seems to me like you're giving me a gun with one bullet in it. You spin the barrel and you say, "Put it to your head, take it down."
But can you ignore what the hospital is saying? That the people who are in there now, as they are at capacity with COVID-19 patients, those people are for the most part unvaccinated. And the few that are only partially vaccinated, 1 or 2%. Can you ignore that? Doesn't that say something to you?
I mean, listen, Dwight, honestly, it is very hard to trust this government. I mean, because this government has done so many things.
But, sir, it's not
left a bad taste in the citizens' mouth, So,
sir, is it the government, though, sir? Is it the government? The government doesn't make vaccines. There are a lot of Bahamian doctors. There's a Bahamian doctor in I think she's in Florida, somewhere on the East Coast, who did a presentation on the vaccine. She was actually studying the vaccine. She was part of vaccine trials, and she touts it. She said, "Look, these things work." Do you not like she's independent of the government? She's independent of other things.
On the same hand, you have others who were a major part of the vaccines who are coming out and speaking out against it also. I mean,
Who?
it's all over social media.
Like social media?
Really?
Yeah.
Like who?
I mean,
who are you talking about?
Well, I don't remember the name of this gentleman who was a major part of the vaccines, and he spoke about how it kills your...
No, see, that's some conspiracy thing. You find out who that is and learn more, right? That's a lot of
please do.
There's a lot of that stuff, right?
Yeah,
and
I'll
you have
get
to.
his name and I'll call you back tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Oh boy. Well, this goes back to what people have been saying about the education campaign maybe not being as effective as it needs to be.
No, because social media.
Right, social media, and anybody could say they're a doctor of this and put on a white lab coat and speak with that anger.
Some elderly sounding lady in a voice note says something, suddenly it's gospel.
Oh boy. Yeah. Let's take a break. When we come back, more on this and what's making news on this Wednesday already. Wednesday morning. A lot to get to. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9.
Boy and girl, causing folks to quarantine. I'm talking about COVID-19. Coronavirus, you're a pest. You've got this world in a mess. Like a lethal weapon in the dark, leaving death, destruction in your path. COVID-19, COVID-19.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
And it's time for your Morning Blend Traffic Alert brought to you by RBC Royal Bank. In your real-time traffic, we've got Samara Butler Highway, as usual, the heavy traffic, northbound lanes to Tawny Williams Darling Highway, but not all the way to Fire Trail as yet. We're expecting that, though, within the next hour. Glasgow Road also busy this morning, northbound to JFK Drive. Blue Hill Road, the traffic is building there, especially north of Soldier Road as you approach Independence Drive, the northbound lanes. And East Street South, we're seeing some traffic southbound to Bamboo Boulevard, the intersection there. Elsewhere, just along the major intersections, along Prince Charles Drive or Robinson Road, you're going to be seeing some traffic at that light, at the lights in front of you, traffic lights and traffic signals. And Wolf Road and Mackey Street looking to be having some building traffic at this hour. That's what we're seeing so far. We'll have another real-time report for you in just under an hour after the 8 o'clock news. That's your Morning Blend Traffic Alert brought to you by RBC Royal Bank, banking reimagined. And time for another check of your weather. We've got streaming moisture from the outer bands of Tropical Storm Elsa passing over South Florida, and that will continue to impact portions of the northwest Bahamas, while a tight pressure gradient associated with Elsa and building surface ridge of high pressure will generate moderate to fresh winds across the islands. Boaters in the northwest Bahamas should be alert for waterspout activity. Swimmers and beachgoers should exercise caution due to the risk of rip currents along east and south coast beaches. And once again, all residents being advised to limit outdoor activities and remain hydrated due to heat indices expected in the triple digits again. For today, for the Northwest Bahamas, look for partly cloudy to occasionally overcast, humid, and breezy conditions with isolated showers and thunderstorms through tonight. For the Central and Southeast Bahamas, variably cloudy, warm, and breezy with a chance of a few isolated showers or thunderstorms through tonight. High temperatures getting up to around 90 Fahrenheit, 32 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to 76 Fahrenheit, 24 Celsius. In your extended outlook, high pressure is expected to build across the area with pleasant conditions for the next few days. So for Thursday, tomorrow, mostly sunny, hot, and breezy with the chance of a few isolated showers or thunderstorms, becoming fair and breezy at night with the chance of showers or thunderstorms. Pretty much the same for Friday. Mostly sunny, hot, and breezy, the chance of a few isolated showers or thunderstorms, becoming fair and breezy at night with the chance of showers and thunderstorms. With the exception of Elsa, the tropics are quiet. Here is the latest on Elsa, still a tropical storm, moving almost parallel to the west coast of Florida. Heavy rains and gusty winds continue spreading inland across western Florida. As of 5 o'clock, the center of Elsa was about 50 miles southwest of Cedar Key. Elsa is moving toward the north near 14 miles per hour, and a general northward motion is expected to continue through this afternoon. A turn toward the north-northeast is expected later today, followed by a faster northeastward motion by late Thursday. On the forecast track, Elsa will move near or over portions of the west coast of Florida this morning and then make landfall along the North Florida Gulf Coast by this afternoon. The storm should then move across southeastern and the mid-Atlantic states of the U.S. through Thursday. Maximum sustained winds are near 65 miles per hour. Some fluctuations in intensity are possible until landfall later today. Elsa is expected to weaken once it moves inland. That's your morning blend weather check brought to you by Rev Cable Bahamas. Rev, you and us together.
Enjoy an elevated mobile experience with BTC, giving you
unlimited talk for the best conversations, unlimited data for all your online fun,
and unlimited roaming to stay connected while overseas.
For just $50 per line.
Unlock unlimited mobile talk, data, and roaming when you sign up for BTC Superfast Fiber Internet with speed starting at 100 megabits per second. Enjoy more great savings and value. Upgrade or sign up today. Visit any BTC store or btcbahamas.com. Conditions apply.
Let's face it, in an increasingly competitive market, your business needs a competitive edge. That means offering your employees the benefits they want. Give them the benefit of retiring their way with the RF Multi-Employer Pension Plan. Choose from some of the best performing investment funds in the market while taking advantage of low administrative costs and professional management. Whether you're a team of 2 or 2,000, our pension specialists can design a plan for you. Contact us at pensions@rfgroup.com to learn more about the RF Multi-Employer Pension Plan. RF, money at work.
Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Street, has those hard-to-find fasteners for you right now. You can find stainless steel regular hex, carriage bolts, galvanized bolts, threaded rods, nails, self-tap screws, sex bolts, anchor bolts, turnbuckles, masonry tools, hand tools, and weed whacker strings. Check out the rope selection and car body fasteners, too. Special orders are welcome. It's your #1 fastener store. Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Streets. Call 326-1976.
As a people, Bahamians are anxious about the future. Feeling down and out, unsure in these unprecedented times? We need to believe that love's coming back. Join us Tuesday, July 13th at 11 a.m. at lovescomingback.com for the virtual launch of Love's Coming Back, an inspiring new anthem from Grammy Award-winning founding member of the Eurythmics, songwriter, producer Dave Stewart, which will premiere globally at 12 noon. Presented by Bay Street Records, Bahamas National Trust, and BrylandAid.org.
Switching your mortgage to CIBC First Caribbean is easy, affordable, and convenient. We'll help with your switching cost, give you 3 months payment free, and waive your commitment fees so you can enjoy the break you need. Plus, you'll get up to 95% financing and a pre-approved Visa Gold or Platinum credit card with 5,000 bonus reward points and more. Switch your home base to CIBC First Caribbean. Terms and conditions apply. Visit CIBCFCIB.com for more information.
This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news, intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversation. 96.9 FM.
Traveling around the world, infecting men, women, boy, and girl, causing folks to quarantine. I'm talking about COVID-19. Coronavirus, you're a pest. You've got this world in a mess. Like a lethal weapon in the dark, leaving death, destruction in your path. COVID-19, COVID-19. Oh, you're such a killing machine. COVID-19, COVID-19. An enemy that remains unseen.
Wow. Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan with Chester Robards. Just want to say this. This is got some overnight. That was some disturbing videos and voice notes. He was just here yesterday, Dyson Knight. Pretty bad car accident, but it looks like he's going to be okay.
Yeah.
But we're wishing him a speedy recovery.
Throw up some prayers for him too.
Yeah, absolutely. And just here 24 hours ago in the studio with us, and just crazy. So
hope you're feeling better, buddy.
Definitely. Very scary. Crazy stuff. You saw that? Yeah, wow. All right. And, again, we're still reacting to the breaking news about the assassination of the Haitian president, Jovenel Moïse, and that's wild. And talking about PMH, at capacity COVID-19 patients, and how we're dealing with this situation. A lot to get to in our 8 o'clock hour as well. I want to get to that story about the what the commissioner had to say about people not helping the police and filming and recording with their phones and laughing and seeing a police officer in what could have been a very serious situation.
Yeah.
Right? And nobody helped. And We'll talk more about it in a few minutes, but let's continue with what we've been discussing this morning. And again, along with COVID-19 and these callers and the texters who are saying these things, I really don't know where you've been. Obviously, you don't know anybody who's been impacted by this and how scary it can be. And we want to say get well soon to former Deputy Prime Minister Cynthia Mother Pratt, who is in the hospital with COVID as well. And we're praying for her speedy recovery this morning. And I really don't understand how people can say the things they say. Obviously, you don't know. And that's amazing because it seems to have touched everybody in this country.
Somehow,
everybody has a family member or a coworker or somebody you know who's had COVID and had it bad.
Someone told me about recently about their sister who contracted it. She had it as well, but she got over it.
Yeah.
Her sister got it, and she had some pre-existing conditions, and she passed away
only
a couple of weeks ago.
Wow. Yeah, that is awful. That's awful. Here's a text here. Please stop talking about vaccination hesitancy when we as a country are borrowing vaccines. How do you have that conversation? Please lend me 5,000 vaccines. I'll pay you back when I get mine.
What does that have to do with hesitancy?
And that is exactly how you have the conversation. That is. Yep, I'll give you mine when I get mine back. Well,
makes sense.
Well, that's what you got to do. If you got it sitting there and nobody's using it, then that's what we did with the U.S. too, right? We're asking them, since you don't want AstraZeneca for some reason.
Well, we ain't trying to borrow it, though.
Right, just want them to give it
free it up.
Well, again, they don't want it. Someone says here, why always blame Bahamians for the virus spreading?
Why always?
I don't know who's doing that other than the government, but yeah. But we said that it's everything, everyone.
Yeah.
It's all factors, right? Visitors, Bahamians. Yeah. It's everything. People.
Yeah. I don't know how and we probably need to check on this, but we had maybe a month and a half ago, Bahamar gave a statistic about how many of their employees tested positive since they opened up, and it was a very, very small percentage. of employees. I don't know, how Atlantis is doing.
Right. Yeah, that would be interesting to find out. Yeah. So what is the, refresh my memory, it changes so often. Do you have to be fully vaccinated to come here? You still have to have the test, right? You don't have to be.
You don't have to test if you're fully vaccinated.
You don't have to test if you're fully vaccinated, but you don't have to be fully vaccinated.
Right.
You have to test if you're not fully vaccinated.
Correct.
So again, to that previous caller, this is what's happening there. Not everybody's fully vaccinated, and they're coming here and they're testing negative. But again, we know how that works. You could show up negative one day and not be negative.
Well, those kids on the cruise ship would have had to take a test before coming into the country, and then take a test before going on the boat.
Right.
And then later on, tested positive.
Yeah.
Which, as things go, who knows?
That's how it is.
One of three of those tests could have been false somehow. Or two.
This person says here, Dwight, I guarantee you those in the hospital wish right now they had taken the COVID vaccine, but only Bahamians are in the hospital, not blaming. Okay. Continue to call in 325-4316, 325-4259, 323-6232. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us, 422-4796. Somebody's asking me a question here on Facebook. Let's see what this is here. Dwight Strachan. Who's that? Did you take the vaccine or you, Stephen Hanna? I mean, maybe they're thinking you're Stephen. They're asking you, Chester Robards. I think that's what they're doing here. You are fully vaxxed.
I'm fully vaxxed.
And your 2 weeks are up now. You're So you're fully
vaccinated.
Oh my, look at you. Dwight Strachan, I don't know who that is. But Dwight Strachan is partially vaxxed. So getting there soon, I guess.
I didn't ask you, how did you feel after your vaccination?
Fine.
Yeah.
Sore arm for a few days.
Good. Lucky you.
Yeah. Soldier. No. Maybe older. Maybe that's what they say, right?
That's what they say, yeah.
That's what it is. Just older. Oh, boy. Okay. So we're going to continue to talk about that, and you can call and text us about that. Before we break for the news, this makes a story when he says it, but we've been saying it for a while, but it doesn't make a story in the paper. But anyway, Chester Cooper says the Prime Minister should set a date for the election. Okay, yes, everyone's been saying that. Everybody's been saying that. Prime Minister Dr. Bimini should set a date for the next election and stop playing games with Bahamians, according to PLP Deputy Leader Chester Cooper. On Sunday, minister urged Bahamians to go and get registered to vote in the shortest possible time. Cooper, the MP for the Exumas and Ragged Island, said in a statement, quote, I find it laughable that a prime minister who promised fixed election dates as a key campaign pledge before the last election can stand in church with a straight face and urge people to register to vote in the shortest time possible. What does that even mean? The next election is not scheduled to take place until May 2022, to be called by May 20. Anyway, ahead of the 2017 general election, ministers promised that the Free National Movement government would create a fixed election date, a recall system for MPs, campaign finance laws, term limits for prime ministers, an independent electoral commission, and an independent boundaries commission. My God, any of those things happened?
I don't think so.
Since taking office, he has not implemented any of those initiatives. There you go. Cooper also called on all Bahamians who have not registered since the last election to register as soon as possible. He said, quote, there is much work to be done to fix the damage the Minnis administration has wreaked. Hubert Alexander Minnis will likely go down as the worst prime minister in the history of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. He's going to have some challenges there. It's going to be a tight race. But anyway, he has squandered his mandate to implement meaningful reforms, neglected the poor and downtrodden, and focused on the special interests of his friends. His tenure must end on election day. Cooper said nothing Minnis says can be taken at face value. Yep. We are all in agreement with Cooper in the fact that this is ridiculous, that this administration that promised a fixed election date has yet to deliver on that promise, definitely. and that the games must indeed stop. This is quite tiresome and ridiculous. Stop it now. Go to Parliament with the legislation to fix the date and call an election, and let's stop playing. Definitely. All right, we're going to take a break for news and be back with more. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Stay with us.
Traveling around the world.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We are streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Flow Channel 612. You can tweet us at MorningBlend969 or Facebook.com/MorningBlend969. Text us 422-4796. And now at 8:22, time for another check of your weather for today, brought to you by Bahamas First Insurance. Here's what's happening. We've got streaming moisture from the outer rain bands of Tropical Storm Elsa passing over South Florida. It's going to continue to impact portions of the northwest Bahamas. All this while a tight pressure gradient associated with Elsa and a building surface ridge of high pressure is generating moderate to fresh winds across the islands. Boaters in the northwest Bahamas should be alert for water spouts. Beachgoers and swimmers should exercise caution due to the risk of rip currents along east and south coast beaches, and everybody is being advised to limit outdoor activity and remain hydrated due to heat indices again expected in the triple digits today. For today for the northwest Bahamas, look for partly cloudy to occasionally overcast, humid and breezy conditions with isolated showers and thunderstorms through tonight. For the central and southeast Bahamas, variably cloudy, warm and breezy with a chance of a few isolated showers or thunderstorms through tonight. High temperatures getting up to 90 Fahrenheit, 32 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to 76 Fahrenheit, 24 Celsius. In your extended outlook, high pressure is expected to build over the area with pleasant conditions for the next few days. So for Thursday and Friday, we're expecting mostly sunny, hot, and breezy conditions with the chance of a few isolated showers or thunderstorms, becoming fair and breezy at night with the chance of showers or thunderstorms. In the tropics, we've got Elsa, which is making its approach to Florida. It's just about off the coast of Florida now, 50 miles southwest of Cedar Key in Florida, moving toward the north near 15 miles per hour. A general northward motion is expected to continue through this afternoon, then a turn through the northeast by late this afternoon or tonight, followed by a faster northeastern motion by late Thursday. On the forecast track, Elsa will move near or over portions of the west coast of Florida this morning and then make landfall along the North Florida Gulf Coast by late this morning or this afternoon. The storm should then move across the southeastern and mid-Atlantic United States through Thursday. Maximum sustained winds are near 65 miles per hour. Fluctuations in the intensity are possible until landfall later today. Weakening will begin after Elsa moves inland. And that's your morning blend weather check. Brought to you by Bahamas First Insurance. What's first for you comes first for us. And time for another check for your traffic for this morning, brought to you by RBC Royal Bank. In your real-time traffic, we've got Smart Butler Highway, your hotspot this morning from Fire Trail up to Tawny Williams Darling Highway in the northbound lanes. Glaston Road also busy this morning northbound to JFK Drive. Blue Hill Road northbound north of Soldier Road. You're going to be seeing that traffic as usual over that hill to Independence Drive. And Carmichael Road eastbound to Blue Hill. That traffic is building there. Carmichael westbound as you head out to Coral Harbor Road. Getting busy this morning as well. And we're seeing some traffic on West Bay Street heading eastbound near Nassau Street. You're going to be seeing that slow down there. Elsewhere, we've got some congestion at the intersection of Bernard Road, Wolf Road, Village Road, and Soldier Road, and Marathon Road northbound looking busy for you this morning. And then just pockets along the major intersections along Prince Charles Drive and Robinson Road this morning. That's your real-time traffic and your morning blend traffic alert brought to you by RBC Royal Bank, banking reimagined.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Advice. Hey, they say you getting fat, say you need to lose some weight, but when you lose some ounces, they say your health is straight. Trying to cut your nose off to please somebody taste. By laughing, they face and say it my way, my way, my way. I can do it my way, highway. I don't care what you say, it don't matter no way. I can do it my way.
We are back here with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan with Chester Robards on this Wednesday morning. We're talking about what's in the news. We're going to move on from COVID talk for now. Let's get to this very interesting situation that went viral with the police officer and the motorcyclist a couple of days ago. Those officers were commended for their bravery. 2 officers were involved. If you didn't see the video, this report from our Jared Higgs will tell you all about what happened. And the very interesting comments from the Commissioner of Police about this. Take a listen.
Police Constable Tyree Smith and Sergeant Travis Strachan were each bestowed with the Commissioner's commendation and given $1,000 each for their roles in a traffic stop that went viral on social media.
We in law enforcement, this is what we talk about when we say police officers put their lives on the line each and every day to keep the public safe.
According to Police Commissioner Paul Roll, Constable Smith spotted a man driving a motorbike recklessly on Tawny Williams Darling Highway and sprang into action.
He had occasion to stop a motorcyclist that was riding along Tawny Williams Darling Highway in and out of traffic, causing near mayhem on the street. Eventually, he was able to bring the individual to a stop, and in the process had occasion that he had to effect an arrest.
The officer and the suspect can be seen from a distance traveling in the opposite lane from incoming traffic. When the camera gets closer, the officer and the suspect have each other in their grips. The suspect strikes the officer as he tries to get the situation under control. Seconds later, Sergeant Strachan, who Roll says was on his way home, can be seen running towards the pair with his gun drawn. The suspect in gray looks stunned. Constable Smith then body slams him to the floor. Roll honored the men at a ceremony held during a Comstat meeting. Smith, who just completed 2 years of service, was honored for showing restraint during the arrest. Strachan, who has served for 12 years, was honored for being his brother's keeper and coming to Smith's aid. While he commended the officers for their actions, he slammed bystanders who chose to watch and record instead of assisting the officer.
I would expect members of the public to treat their police officers, their sons and daughters, better than to pick it as though they are watching some movie. This is not a movie. This is a real life situation. And I thought it was in poor taste that they want to make a social event out of it.
The man in the video was charged with dangerous and reckless driving, assaulting a police officer, and resisting arrest. Reporting for the Guardian News Network, I am Jared Higgs.
Okay. Chester, did you get to see the video?
I did.
You did? Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
There were 2 parts, I think. Different angles and producers.
Producers.
Maybe there were 3 producers.
Okay.
Directors of photography.
Right. And commentators.
Right.
I have to say, the first thing that was going through my mind when I saw this, I'm like, why is nobody helping? Why aren't people getting out of their cars to help this officer? Because this could have gotten very serious. I know it's very serious to help because you don't know what you can get yourself into. You get yourself hurt. But I was thinking that this could have been quickly, this matter could have been handled, and somebody could have, just come up behind him, grabbed him, or a couple people to help that officer.
But there were a lot of bystanders there.
Just watching.
Watching.
And laughing. But, so I agree with the commissioner. I think this is a
maybe if
situation.
the officer had gotten overpowered, somebody would have jumped in.
It looked like it was going that direction, though. If that other officer hadn't arrived, I don't know where that was going to. Where that was going to go.
This is true.
And so what's happening? Is something happening? Because I think if this had been in the U.S., it would have been a different story. We would have seen a lot of people get involved.
Yeah, I think so.
And people would have drawn their guns, right? And did this officer not have a gun? And should he have drawn a gun in this situation here?
Well, he had something in a holster by his leg.
We did see something.
For sure.
Right. But he was showing restraint, as the commissioner says.
Right.
But
well, if you watch the video again, he seemed to reach for it maybe once or twice.
Yeah.
But didn't pull it out.
Yeah. Boy.
Because he seemed more interested in not having the person run away.
Yes.
And maybe he was waiting for backup. Because you hear, I don't know if it was his bike, but you hear sirens in the background.
It was his bike. Yeah, that's how it seemed. And thank God the other officer came at that time. But let's get your views on what's going on here. Do you think does the police force have an issue, a public relations issue, where the public will just sit back and watch this? Let me watch this clown show and munch on popcorn, where citizens just feel like, well, you're on your own, chief, right? And or where people just be like, I'm not getting this. This could be dangerous. I could get myself hurt here. What do you think's happening here? Is something going on with the mindset of Bahamian people,
I think so.
Yeah? They just have a bad taste in the mouth of the police, or were they just
I don't even
afraid?
know if that, because you see videos with kids fighting, with adults fighting in the street. And the problem is you see videos.
Yeah.
Nobody's helping.
Nobody's helping. And when the police arrive, the fighting intensifies.
Right.
So this is what I'm saying. Is there a lack of respect?
Nobody is their brother's keeper anymore.
Yeah. And what does the police force have to do to get this to change?
I don't know if it has anything to do with the police force per se.
Okay. Let's hear what you have to say, folks. Give us a call. 325-4316. 325-4259. 323-6232. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us 422-4796. Again, we commend those 2 officers. They handled that situation very well. And minor scold to although we thank them for recording it, because we wouldn't have believed this if we didn't see those videos.
We don't need to have believed it. We don't.
You could believe that things like that would happen?
The people who were on the road, blocked up by traffic, they saw it. We would have believed them. There was a lot of eyewitness accounts. We didn't really need to have to see it. We're entertained by it now.
Oh, yeah?
And that's the problem.
Oh,
right?
no,
It's entertainment. That's what he's saying.
We need videos more than ever before, because eyewitness accounts don't matter in this place. Yeah. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Glenn. How are you?
Doing well.
Good.
Wonderful. What if that policeman had used excessive force case going on? Then you would have seen those people react, because what happens here is that as a Christian nation, we need to do better. Okay, I come with our solution this morning. Okay, you don't wait for things to get worse, and then our prevention is about just taking it isn't good enough. Okay, because if that policeman just take out his gun and just shoot him. So, they shoot an unarmed man, okay? But the fellow was beating the policeman, okay? He was trying to evade him too. Okay? But the police was using restraint. Okay? Where is our common sense? Where is our Christian duty? Okay? So man, we got to do better. All right? And man, I just tired all the foolishness. There's too much foolishness all one time. And you can't blame this one on the government. Even though when the bell ring, they got to go. Thanks for letting me share.
Okay, well, no one mentioned the government one time, but sure.
That's
okay.
true. You have to.
But
You have to.
Got to work it in. Got to work it in there.
Shavar would have loved that one.
My goodness. Okay, caller. Good morning. You're on the air.
I'd like to make a call.
Oh, okay. Let's take that other number there. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, guys. How you all doing?
Doing
How you
well.
doing?
Yes, and good morning to this lovely people of this beautiful country, God's country. Don't care what they say. If the country is what the majority say it is. If the majority say we are Christian-minded, respectful people, even in our sinful state, it does not change that fact. Now, I am in agreement with you, and I'm in agreement with the Commissioner of Police, and I am outraged to hear of this and to hear the public passed by and did nothing. And yet, like the last caller said, it would have been outrageously difficult morning for the police had the shoe was on the next foot and the police did shoot the fella. Let me tell you, if I was a police and you point a gun at me, okay, I will kill you. If I was that police, I would not fight with that criminal. He was already a criminal from he broke our road traffic law. I would shoot him, and if he dies, he dies.
What? No, you can't.
No. Listen, law is law. He was breaking the law. It's outrageous.
No, the police. He's not the judge.
The police also can't kill unarmed people.
Why would you do that?
No. But listen to me.
Arrest
if he
him.
did overpower the police and get the police gun, you don't know. From a man is ready to fight the police when he know he already wrong for breaking the law, he deserves to die.
Okay, I hear you. That's just not how it's supposed to work, though.
No.
If he pulled his gun, then you order him on the ground or whatever, and that if he pays attention to you, and then you handcuff him. It's supposed to work like that, I guess. But okay, but you can't just shoot the guy.
Kind of glad more people don't think like that.
Right. But I hope nobody on the police force thinks like that.
Yeah.
Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Okay. You're all very impatient today. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Hi, good morning. Oh, there we go. Hello. Oh, all right. Hi, good morning. You're on the air. Yes, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing well.
Good. Kudos to the officer who came in for the assist. But I think that the young man, he was lucky. He should get on his knees and thank his sweet Jesus that he's still breathing this morning. Because what he did, I don't know, with traffic or whatever, people overreacted, but you don't do that. You do not do that. I told my grandson yesterday, this is something you do not do. You understand? Mm-hmm. Whatever the situation was, you just don't do that. So he's very blessed to be alive. And in reference to someone jumping out of the car and going in on that situation, I think people were maybe frozen or they didn't want to get involved to the point where the police could have taken a different, more defensive stance and thinking that people were coming to attack him instead of going after the guy. But, God works in his way, and I think the gentleman, the hero of the situation, the officer, I think he's to be commended. He came in right in time, and he did what needed to be done. And thank God, the young man, although he's wrong, and he will be punished, I'm sure. I think the officer did what he was supposed to do, and no slight on the officer who was being attacked. I just think he was caught off guard because he could have very well taken and shot the young man. So it worked out well, and thank God for that. You all have a safe day.
Okay, all right. Thanks a lot.
I tried to intervene in a purse snatching one time.
Here?
By the bridge, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And when I had to go to the police station to do a report, the officer who's taking the report was like, "Did you have a gun?" And I said, "No." And he's like, "Oh, okay, you're brave." And I was like, I didn't really think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, somebody was in distress, and I went to help.
Why would you have a gun? I mean,
his point was, why would you help without a weapon or something? You know.
And if you said you had a gun, then what
I would
have
never did it. You know.
Then what would have happened to you?
Yeah, no, exactly.
Okay.
Let me see you in this back room.
Wow. Okay. Call. Is this line? Yeah. Okay. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Caller. Good morning. Yep. Uh-oh. Okay. Try 325-4316. 325-4316 or 325-4259. Let's see what you're saying on the text line this morning. All right. Quite a few text messages. Somebody says here, this one says, I've kept saying that we have a national security problem. I hope Bahamian people will take the scales off their eyes. You see what happens to the Haitian president. How are we tying this into that now? Yes, we have a national security problem. What? That's a real reach. Okay. All right. Driving in Nassau is an extreme sport. People run red lights, speed, etc. We need more officers who are brave and empowered enough to stop these asinine people as much as necessary. We need to enforce and harshly punish these reckless drivers. Also, it's not safe for citizens to step in because the offenders could be armed. Yeah, I hear you.
It's not safe for who to step in?
For the other citizens to step in.
Oh.
What you going to do? Just sit back and watch the officer get beat down? At some point.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Right.
maybe if he had started to get overpowered, somebody would have stepped in.
Yeah.
But, you can't wait for that situation to happen. Things happen so quickly.
Right.
So.
Exactly. And this is what people say, we know what happened on 9/11, right? You've got to come together and say, we're going to stop this. We're not going to allow this to happen. With at least one of the planes in 9/11.
Yeah.
Right? Some point. Anyway, this one says there was no need for any gun to be drawn because the offender had no firearm. Both officers could have matched force with force. Again, what if there wasn't another officer? That's the question. Thank God he was there. He was going home, and he happened to see what was going on. Thank God.
Yeah.
That's what we're asking. What if that didn't happen? Should the public have stepped in?
Yeah. And that officer is clearly trained. Right? He didn't even pull his gun until he got to the scene.
Right.
You watch him draw it when he took a stance and he drew his gun.
Yeah. They go on to say also there was no need for the $1,000. Oh boy.
Oh jeez.
And officers always considered on duty and is paid. A police commendation would have sufficed. Officers off camera go above and beyond daily. Well, yeah, sure, but I think they were trying to send a message to the public as well. We will reward the good ones. And
we're also hearing from the producer
they
that
shouldn't have given them.
No, he says that's normal.
Oh, it is normal to get
money,
monetary commendation.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that's great. Yeah, well, that's beautiful.
Maybe not $1,000, but some money.
Yeah, well, okay. See, there you go. This one says it's a two-part answer to that question. Some people are afraid to get hurt, and they're also afraid of the police. So the police have an image problem with the public. Also, if a member of the public helps and he's identified, he could also be in jeopardy. He has no protection like the officer has.
That's why we wear masks these days. Keep it on.
Oh, boy. Of course, the officer might not know that you're coming to help, right? So he could get scared, too. So there's it's tricky. It's a tricky situation. Let's see. Good morning, caller. You are on the air.
Good morning. How you doing?
Doing well.
Let me give you something that happened to me a couple of years ago. I was walking down Shirley Street, and I saw this officer running behind this guy, and I took off behind the guy, too, and I cornered him to Dodger Street in the Tribune parking lot yard. When the officer came around, I said, "Officer, I got him." So when I cornered the guy, I said, "Where you going? What you running from the police for?" And I grabbed him until the police came. And he said, "You was not afraid?" I said, "No." I said, number one, he was bareback. His pants was loose because I know he didn't have any weapon on him. And I caught him, and guess what? I'll do it again.
Wow. Excellent.
I'll do it again.
Good
and
work.
Guess what? He took my name and everything. But they say he didn't give it the commission, but he didn't. It didn't bother me.
Mm-hmm.
Because, see, those people that's watching filming, someone, 2 or 3 of them, or men who's, but they could get out and help the officer. But see, our people today, it's somehow they look for police to get harm, and then, like you said, they can film and start bragging and everything about it. So it's when I saw that video, I said, no, you can tell me nobody stopped to try to help that officer? Because if I was passing, I was hopping out my car and I was going to give the officer help. You know, it is a sad case when you see things like that happening. And like I said, Dwight, I'll do it again without blinking an eye.
Excellent. How long ago was this? This was when?
Oh, this is must be about 8-10 years ago.
Wow.
Right there on Shirley Street. I saw him taking that, and the police went, and he went the other way, and I cut through the corner there by the Tribune, and I saw when he ducked down behind the car, and I cornered him, and I said, "What you run from?" And I just grabbed him in his pants. But I wasn't afraid because, number one, like I said, he was bareback, his pants was loose, so I know he didn't have no weapon on him.
Wow. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for your service.
Yeah.
All right.
I appreciate it. Wow. That's a great story. Let's take this call. Good morning. Caller, you're on the air. Are you there? Good morning. Hi, good morning. You're on the air. Yeah. Nope. Okay. Hi, good morning. You're on Morning Blend.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
I think one of the biggest problems as it relates to that is the fact that our police officers have bad PR. Like, the public actually really hates the police at this point because nobody in the police force, the commissioner isn't a very nice person.
Wow. I mean, that's a bit much.
Most of the police officers don't act like they're there to help the people. They act only as people that come in harm or to rough you up. Nobody has really good stories when it comes to the police. At least, not nobody, but like they're very, very few.
We don't hear them that often. We don't hear them as often as the bad stories.
Exactly. So that's why the general public look at the police and say, almost, that's good for them. So if the police force wants better PR, they need to actually work at it. Do something for the general public to see them as help, to see them as your neighbor, to see them as people doing good in our community.
Okay. All right. Yep, that's what we were asking. What can they do? Maybe this might help, perhaps. I don't know.
Well, the commissioner's given them permission to go and help to seek justice.
Right.
You've all been deputized.
Hey, let's read some text messages before we take a break. Someone says here, generally citizens do care. However, most are afraid of possible repercussions from the culprits. If they assist, citizens don't feel they have the protection of the law for their safety. Somebody else was saying that earlier as well. Yeah. Wow. Okay. This one says, I would ask the officer if he needed help.
What?
Before intervening myself.
Maybe he would answer. Yeah. Stick your head, do it. Yo, you need help?
Yeah, drop kick him. Like, okay, come right now.
Come get him off me, bye.
Oh boy.
Maybe it went. Maybe it would have gone that way.
Maybe. You say, yeah, run him over with your car.
I fell in, but I could come out.
This one says, be careful how we talk about no one went to help. It's never that simple. And if you see someone carrying on like that with the police, how you think he can look at you? Okay. We know these people like to retaliate, so we need to be very careful talking about no one helped. Well, no one did.
No one did. No one helped. No one helped. You heard a man say he helped. He's still here 8 to 10 years ago. I tried to help a lady with getting her purse snatched. I still here.
You say you saw two different angles.
10 years later.
Was your video producer, director chuckling as well? In the videos that you saw? I only saw one from one person, two different. But
there was one that was farther back from the last two.
Didn't hear them.
I didn't hear them. I don't think I heard
the ones I heard. They were like, "Look at this, he getting kicked." Right, that kind of stuff, you know. Anyway, this one says people are scared to intervene for a fear of getting injured and also fear of later retaliation. Okay, that's a common theme then. All right. Another one here. We need to appreciate our officers. I salute officers, especially the off-duty one who went to assist his colleague. Excellent
work. Keep up the good work. They should be commended.
You're God blessed if you help out your neighbor and lay down your life for your brother.
Hey.
You got nothing to fear.
Mm-hmm. This one says, don't be so hard on the public. If things had gone sideways, there would be video to assist the police. Well, that might have been too late, though.
But I mean, some of these people are right. You obviously have to weigh the situation before you go in.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. This one says, we're a sick society. We are going to continue until we become the U.S., like the U.S., refunding. I think you're trying to say defunding. And they haven't done that. They haven't done that. There's talk amongst some not well people about defunding the police, but that's not gonna. All right, that video shows the combat hand training is sorely needed in the police force. It is ludicrous to expect civilians to intervene in a police altercation. The commissioner is irresponsible and silly for the suggestion. I don't know. I think. Morning, bro. Okay. The lawlessness of our society should not be tolerated. This is the result of us raising very rude children in the Bahamas. They will disrespect us on all occasions. We thank God for his ultimate protection and happy, joyous independence from Grand Bahama. Okay. These scooters are a menace. That's a text. Okay. Another text. What's going on in Haiti? Yes, chaos, as always. Dwight, my question is why...
Apparently the wife died now.
Oh, she's dead now?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
I see some reports coming out.
Oh, wow. Wow, that is really, really
That's
awful.
sad. Yeah.
Good Lord. Yeah, continue to pray for Haiti, folks. This one says, Dwight, my question is, why did an officer take on a suspect without backup and smack in the middle of traffic? Well, he didn't expect that to end like that.
What did you want?
Right? Solo officers are pulling over people all the time.
Yeah. It's their job.
Vehicles packed with people, and they're pulling them over solo, giving you a ticket. They're not expecting you to carry on like a lunatic and try to fight them.
Most people don't carry on like lunatics.
So, I mean, what does that mean? They have to travel in packs now because the Bahamian people are so out of control? Wow. Okay, that's very scary. Anyway, they go on to say the suspect was already putting the public at risk, and this only escalated the potential risk. What if the suspect did have a weapon and started shooting?
Okay. Let's let them all go.
Wow. If you're fighting off a police officer in uniform, you have no regard for authority figures, and you cannot pretend with these people. The police officer was right to draw his weapon. Oh, we have no doubt about that. No doubt about that at all, right? Because he was not getting a handle on the situation. That had to happen. In all fairness, we didn't see the entire video as to what led up to that. We heard what it was. He was driving recklessly. He was doing lots of nonsense.
What fairness?
So what are you talking about? Anyway, however, this incident is indicative of a bigger problem when there are cases where officers are actually wrong and nothing comes from it. This leads to further loss of trust and respect for the law. This reaction is also a serious problem because if not dealt with, it can lead to further lawlessness. More transparency is needed when incidents happen to restore law and order. And, interesting. And I do think, I don't know if that officer on the bike had a body cam, but that would have been helpful there if there weren't people recording, right? So true. I hope the commissioner's paying attention to that. Thank goodness there were other people around to record this. But we do need more widespread use of body cams on officers. We're going to take that break now? Yeah, let's do that now. We'll get back to your calls in just a bit, folks. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. We'll be back. Stay with us.
You invest in your children, your home, and your community. But are you investing in your financial future? At CFAO, we specialize in investment management, retirement planning, mutual funds, and private wealth management. Our team of experts never stops helping you plan for tomorrow. Because tomorrow begins today. Call us at 502-7010 to see what our financial advisors can do for you. CFAO, growing wealth for future generations.
Let's face it, in an increasingly competitive market, your business needs a competitive edge. That means offering your employees the benefits they want. Give them the benefit of retiring their way with the RF Multi-Employer Pension Plan. Choose from some of the best performing investment funds in the market while taking advantage of low administrative costs and professional management. Whether you're a team of 2 or 2,000, our pension specialists can design a plan for you. Contact us at pensions@rfgroup.com to learn more about the RF Multi-Employer Pension Plan. RF, money at work.
Travel less, but vacation more by indulging yourself and your family with the ultimate staycation getaway at Atlantis. Sleep in, relax, play, go out. Say yes to a fantastic staycation in your very own paradise just over the bridge. For reservations, call 363-6483 or visit Atlantis Local on Facebook for details.
The summer you deserve is here at Alive. Capture more moments and go further with our prepaid plans for everyone. Roam free with postpaid and stay connected with MiFi on the go anywhere, anytime. We do it better with more device offerings, accessories, exclusive deals with the list, and so many opportunities to win big. From travel vouchers, grocery vouchers, Alive merch, and more. Alive, believe in best.
RBC has been growing with the Bahamas for over 110 years with new ways to bank better. We are committed to deepening our relationship with existing clients and forging new ones in the future with new products and services and investment in the community, youth, and education initiatives. We are here to help you grow.
We're here to help you flourish. We're RBC.
RBC Royal Bank. Banking reimagined.
Technology serves to make our lives better, so why not your business too? At Custom Computers, we've been maintaining our knowledge and relationships with top tech companies since 1987 and carry only the most trusted brands like Apple, Microsoft, HP, and more. No company has helped more businesses build reliable IT systems than Custom Computers. You name it, we've done it. Call 396-1101 to talk to any of our business experts. Find trust in your tech. Count on Custom Computers.
As a people, Bahamians are anxious about the future. Feeling down and out, unsure in these unprecedented times? We need to believe that love's coming back. Join us Tuesday, July 13th at 11 a.m. at lovescomingback.com for the virtual launch of Love's Coming Back, an inspiring new anthem from Grammy Award-winning founding member of the Eurythmics, songwriter, producer Dave Stewart, which will premiere globally at 12 noon. Presented by Bay Street Records, Bahamas National Trust, and BrylandAid.org.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Woo! Come on! Don't let me down now, gal. Let's go!
We are back here with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Chester Robards this morning. Coming up in a few minutes. Coming up, we're going to be talking about the travel health visa, where things stand now. Would you say it's confusion? It's questionable how things are going with it. It's lifted for some, but not for others, and some people have to, and Bahamians have to pay, and right?
Yeah, it's strange.
It's strange. We're going to be talking about that in business in just a few minutes. Let's see if we can get a few more of your calls in on what we've been talking about the situation with the police earlier this week, and the commissioner saying that instead of picking up their phones and recording and laughing at the officer struggling to subdue the traffic violator on a scooter, that people should have possibly come out and tried to help the officer. Yeah. We're getting your reaction to it. Why do you think that didn't happen? Getting some good responses from people. And what the police, if you think they do need to do something about their image, why people might not want to help the police in a situation like that. What is it that you think should happen? Let's take these calls quickly.
You know how doctors I think they could get sued if they're in the presence of a situation in the States, I think in the U.S., and not help. But they can also get sued if they help and something goes wrong. But anyway, that's not either here. But still,
Wow.
That's a thing, right? Or am I making this up?
I'm not sure about the first part.
I think it is a thing.
If they say, "Is there a doctor in here?"
And they don't assist.
Okay. I had never heard that, but I mean, you take the Hippocratic oath, right? So You're supposed to help, right?
Yeah.
Or do no harm, whatever it is. We're supposed to help. But okay. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Morning, Dwight and Chester.
Hi.
Morning.
You still talking about the police officer in the video? or
Yes.
you-
Yes. Still
on
talking
that?
about that.
Okay. My point on that, right? Clearly, after watching the video, it shows, Dwight, how a better job our police officer could do when it comes to comprehensive our suspect, okay? The officer that I think was off duty, I think he should be recommended, but for the commissioner to give him cash, that's probably going too far. Now, as far as the public and taking the videos and bringing it to the public, I feel like the only reason that happened maybe because they thought it was going to be a different outcome. Probably they was thinking the suspect would end up there, like what happened in most cases. So they just wanted to shoot that out so a person could see exactly what happens, okay? So in order for them to have more, maybe us getting involved with, assisting, like how he was there by himself, they probably need to just show us that they could, they're trained for more than just, shooting, taking away these young people's lives and stuff, and that officer who did what he did yesterday, he need to, I think instead of cash, what they should have done, promote him and probably train him on how to comprehend and suspect instead of, at the end of the day, they end up there because it's clearly after yesterday, we see that that's a possibility that could happen.
Okay.
And I'm happy that's the outcome of what happened. Some mother get to see their child, at the end of the day. That's just my view.
Okay. Thank you very much.
I think people was filming because they just like Bacchanal.
Wow. Let's squeeze this one in really quickly. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
I kind of agree with what y'all saying, but then you made a comment, and I can tell you that when you think about the hero in the matter, both of you agree that the fellow was unarmed and should not have been shot. Then what happens if the fellow still lunged towards the officer with the firearm? You see, when an officer pulls his firearm, the commissioner himself said it was done by protocol. That's not protocol. Anytime an officer pulls his firearm, his intent has to be to kill.
No.
That's the rule. It's in the book.
sir.
You can read it for yourself. I'm telling you facts. I'm not telling you what I think.
Well, that's a
I'm telling
problem.
you facts.
If that is the case, that's a problem. I mean, that is.
What are you saying? He should have shot him then?
No.
Because he pulled his
Listen to me.
firearm?
The officer ran there with a firearm and he pulled it on the young man. I agree that the young man should not have been shot. But what would have happened if the young man had lunged at the officer who had the firearm out?
Well, he would get
Then
shot.
he would have had been shot.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is, when an officer pulls his firearm, it's always with the intent to kill. They are taught that. They are taught that when they start training with that firearm.
Intent
you do not
is
pull that
the
firearm
wrong
unless you
word,
intend
though.
to kill.
I mean, intent is the wrong word. But
it's a.
I get what you're saying, but intent.
It's the exact word that they use.
You're trying to subdue a situation. You're hoping that you will not result in you having to use
right,
it.
Right. You are not trained to use a firearm into scaring people to submit. You are not. Anytime you remove the firearm from your holster, your intent has to be clear that the person is doing something whereby if you have to use it, you will not be in any problems for it. You don't pull a firearm to frighten someone into behaving. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying I totally agree that the young man should have been arrested or whatever the case, but only to clear up your matter about not shooting them. Don't shoot them. The other officer used great restraint, but when you run there with a firearm, what if the young man who was unarmed lunges at you?
Well, then he would get what he was looking for, right?
But for lunch on an unarmed man, now
why would you do that?
No, but,
Why would
but,
you do
but
that?
now you're under threat of losing your firearm, and so you have to put the
You have
suspect
to
down.
defend yourself. Why would you do that? Why would you lunge
I
at an
agree
officer
with
with a
you.
gun?
I'm not going to argue like that because I agree with you guys, but I'm just saying when y'all said the intent, it's good that the young man was not shot. But if you pull your ID, you shout, you give verbal commands as in police officer, and you go there and you go in there, you already identified yourself, police officer. If you pull your ID and then both of you tackle the man, but when you run there with a firearm, think about it. It's the same thing the other officer could have done. Pull his firearm and try to make the young man to submit. But I mean, it depends on how the public sees it. But I'm only telling you the rules.
Okay, all right. Thanks a lot.
All right.
For most people, it's going to work. You will get people to subdue. They will stop their foolishness once you do that.
He was already a threat, and the other officer had no idea what was going on.
Yeah.
He had to make a decision when he got there.
If I were the one on the bike, I'd have pulled that on him quite a ways back. Right? I wasn't going to shoot him, unless he tried. But I would have pulled it on him. Like, okay, you are understanding what's going on here.
That's why we need some tasers up in here.
That's why we need some tasers. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. I'm sure we're going to be hearing more about this, and we need to have a wider conversation on this. But thank you for your contributions, folks. We'll be back after this break with Morning Blend Business. Stay with us.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new
This
day.
is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Beulah gal, can you believe this? We are now the patrol queens of the neighborhood. We now large and in charge. So we need to check out what's going on in everybody's yard. What about that gun that we know that Junior and his homeboys just ran out? Can we report that too? Of course we can. But we could be in deep trouble if they find out. We need to report what we see, Beulah. When you call Crime Stoppers, they just answer your call in Miami. So then we can report everything? Guns, where they hiding the drugs, who shoot who part of which gang, or who disturbing the peace with the loud music and the motorcycles. Then our neighborhood will be the best in the Bahamas, and everybody gonna want to come live here. And then our house price will go up, gal. So what we waiting on? What's the number?
If you see something, say something. Let us all pitch in and stop the crime before it's your time. Call 328-8477 from Nassau or 242-300-8477 from the Family Islands. Or text us through the Crack Crime Bahamas app. Stop the crime before it's your time.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning and welcome to Morning Blend Business on this Wednesday, July 7th, 2021. Welcome back to our Morning Blend listeners. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan along with Chester Robards on this Wednesday. And this morning we're going to be talking about the travel health visa, which many are questioning what's happening. Is there a double standard, especially after we learned over the past few days that the Ministry of Tourism was waiving some travel health visas for passengers on board cruise ships originating from outside the country. The tourism minister, Denise Diagler, said those cruise passengers who travel to the Bahamas for home port cruises, however, are still required to follow all health visa protocols. He added that even though those cruise passengers out of Florida are required to be fully vaccinated or present a negative RT-PCR test on the first day of embarkation, the government has liaised with the cruise companies and local health officials to develop protocols in the event there is a confirmed case of COVID
on board. But we've got this double standard, it seems. Bahamians is still required to have a travel health visa. Some American or some travelers from outside the country aren't. What's going on here? And do we need this at all? Our guest this morning is going to talk about that. We are very pleased to welcome back to the show Attorney Wayne Monroe. Good morning, sir. Great to have you with us as always.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. I'm sorry for being on my way and not in your presence yet.
All right, well, this will suffice for now. So let's talk about this. We've got different rules for different people. Not surprising for the country, but this is perplexing. Well, what do you make of all of this?
I think you've hit it spot on. The first issue is that you do have different rules for different persons, but then you back up a bit and you ask, is this necessary? Why is this necessary since it is in effect a tax? If something has a laudable purpose, then it makes sense. The issue of whether you provide it free or at a cost is a second consideration. So if you think about, firstly, is it necessary? Anyone who has traveled to the U.S. knows that the country that you're traveling to can check your COVID status without the need for this visa. Witness, if you go to the U.S., when you present at the airport, you present your test, they check it at the airline, just as they check your travel visa at the airline and your test at the airline, and then you're cleared to go. And so there would be real issues of whether this is necessary at all, because you do not have it when you're entering our neighbor to the north, and many more people travel there than travel here. So that's the first thing. But let us assume that they make a case for it. Then how is it that it's waived for cruise ship passengers? That kind of destroys their case if it is necessary. And then, if you get past that, why charge Bahamians for it to return home? Generally, only foreigners require a visa to enter your country. If you say that this is a health visa, you could certainly determine to charge foreign persons for it, but not charge Bahamian persons for it, and not impose the tax on your own people.
Wow. So you used an interesting word, tax. Is that what this is? Just another way to make some money, a desperate government that needs more funding? Is that what's going on here?
That's certainly how I see it, looking at what is engaged in it. For instance, they say that a part of it is to pay for a rapid antigen test that you take on your fifth day. Well, some persons don't remain in country for 5 days. Exactly how does that work where you're traveling to, because you need this travel visa to travel inter-island as well, when you're traveling inter-island. And so when you look at it from that perspective, it's just a tax.
All right, so what would be the better situation here? Everybody having to present the travel health visa, or as you say, is scrapping it entirely? What are the pros and cons of each one of those?
But the starting point is it necessary? I traveled to the U.S. Yes, I have a visa that's an ordinary visitor's visa. But when I travel to the U.S., I have to prove that I'm COVID negative. They managed to accomplish that without a health visa. And they put the obligation on the carrier, just as the obligation here is on the carrier, to ensure that persons who are boarded have presented the necessary document. In this case, a negative COVID test. So if the Americans can manage it without a visa, and why do we think that we can't manage it without a visa?
What do you think about the health insurance side of it? Necessary, unnecessary, a sweetener maybe to give some comfort to visitors?
Well, you can parse that out for the moment. The insurance doesn't apply to Bahamians, so if that's what a justification, then no need to have it for Bahamians, as it were. No need to have a visa if you're returning home, because you're not going to be put up or airlifted out.
Right.
if that were your purpose, it would only be necessary for visitors.
Yeah.
But in this instance, for cruise ship passengers, they are not paying it at all, and they are foreign visitors.
It's a bit difficult to wrap your head around.
Yep. This is what do you think is really at play here? Is it just desperation? Why would they do that waiver for the cruise ship passengers? Does that make any sense?
Well, I suspect they did it for the same reason that they're bullied to pay cruise ships money to come here, because they're not very good negotiators.
Do you think this sends a dangerous message to folks who are still complaining about the legitimacy of this virus and about the vaccines and not trusting whatever information we are hearing from the government when they do things like that? Do you think that's compounding their distrust?
It's bound to, and particularly for Bahamians. This whole regime as set up by this government has disadvantaged Bahamians round and round. And it continues to do so. So, for instance, you can have no faith in a government that tells you that it's doing everything to save your life and everything is based on medical advice. And then when you examine it, as we've just done the health visa, it doesn't line up. Or you examine indoor dining. Do you realize that as a Bahamian, I can go to a hotel, dine indoor with a rapid antigen test, but I can't go to a local restaurant and dine in unless I'm fully vaccinated? Now, what sense does that make medically? So when you examine all of their orders, it is as if you've given a man power and he's acting on whim.
Wow. All right. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk more about this and more about some of these other double standards that we're seeing in this fight against COVID. We're talking with Wayne Monroe. This is Morning Blend Business on Guardian Radio. Stay with us. We'll be back.
Yes! Hey! Come on, y'all!
You invest in your children, your home, and your community. But are you investing in your financial future? At CFAL, we specialize in investment management, retirement planning, mutual funds, and private wealth management. Our team of experts never stops helping you plan for tomorrow. Because tomorrow begins today. Call us at 502-7010 to see what our financial advisors can do for you. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations.
It takes a village to raise a child, and it takes each and every one of us to grow the Bahamas. On the clock, we dive into the stories, we identify the issues, and we engage the people, organizations, and institutions that keep the country running. On the Clock with Aaron Green, weekdays 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. here on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM.
COVID-19. Do not panic. Be prepared. Stay informed about local COVID-19 updates from trusted and reliable sources. Wash your hands regularly and be sure to have hand sanitizers readily available. Keep your surroundings clean and disinfect all surfaces that carry germs. Talk to your family and friends about protecting themselves and staying healthy. For more information on COVID-19, check the Ministry of Health's website at www.bahamas.gov.bs/health and the Bahamas Ministry of Health Facebook page.
This message brought to you by Bahamas Ministry of Health in conjunction with Guardian Radio.
It's happening, and it's all straight talk with no chaser. As Stephen Miller is unleashed on your radio each weekday, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. right here on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. It's going to be smart talk, ideas, and innovation. Each weekday, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. only on Guardian Radio, your station for fresh news and smart talk. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss this.
It's time for your morning business report brought to you by CFAL. The value of assets under administration by investment fund administrators in the country grew to $131.5 billion in 2020. That's according to the Securities Commission of the Bahamas in its recently released annual report for 2020. Between February 26th and May 22nd this year, the SCB conducted a focused data collection exercise of investment funds administrators licensed in the country. It says that exercise was conducted to allow for the compilation and analysis of current information about the size of the investment funds industry and to better understand any developing trends. The preliminary findings of the survey finding that as at December 31st, 2020, aggregate assets under administration by licensed investment fund administrators stood at $131.496 billion US dollars. The growth occurred even though last year 105 investment funds entered into liquidation or indicated the intention to surrender their licenses. Only 67 of those funds completed the process, which resulted in 712 licensed investment funds at the end of 2020. The government would have been 6 to 8 months ahead of where it is if it had taken control of Grand Bahama's cruise port through compulsory acquisition. That's according to Grand Bahama attorney Kerry Leonard, who was contending that negotiations with Hong Kong-based multinational conglomerate CK Hutchinson Holdings over the port have stymied the deals with Royal Caribbean International. Leonard saying yesterday that if the government had acquired the port near the beginning of the negotiations of the sale of Grand Lucayan Resort, which is part of the deal with RCI and the ITM Group, the deal would have been completed by now. You can read more about his comments in today's Guardian business section. Two leading businesses that offer hurricane supplies saying that they are ready, their systems are set, and they're ready for the government's hurricane value-added tax holiday, which begins this Friday. Co-owner and president of CBS Bahamas, John Trico, and CEO of JBR Building Supplies, Charles Albury, says they hope Bahamians do not take for granted that there is not a storm currently threatening the islands and instead stock up now. And Bahamians should brace for an increase in the cost of commodities in the upcoming quarter as increases in global shipping costs continue to disrupt supply chains and drive up prices. That's according to businessman and leader of the BDM, Cassius Stewart. Stewart telling Guardian Business that he has experienced about a 400% increase in the cost of the 20-foot shipping container he regularly ships for his company as CEO of medical supplies company CaribMed Limited. He says whether it's toothpaste or cars, we're experiencing a high price on shipping, which will drive the cost up drastically within the next quarter. Again, read more on these stories in today's Guardian business section. Overseas, Egyptian authorities announcing the release today of a hulking shipping vessel that had blocked the Suez Canal for nearly a week earlier this year. The Ever Given left the canal's Great Bitter Lake, where it had been held for over 3 months amid a financial dispute. The development came after its Japanese owner reached a settlement with canal authorities over a compensation amount following weeks of negotiations and a court standoff. The settlement deal was signed in a ceremony today in the Suez Canal, after which the vessel was seen sailing to the Mediterranean Sea. An Associated Press video journalist on board a tugboat saw the vessel moving northward to the Mediterranean as officials represented the Suez Canal, and the vessel's owners and insurers penned the deal today. Closer to home in your Market Watch, recapping trading on the BISX from Tuesday. Your market movers, AML Foods Limited moving 2,000 shares up 40 cents to $6. APD Limited moving 115 unchanged at $39.95. Commonwealth Bank moving 100 unchanged at $248. Doctors Hospital moving 134,418 down $7.05, closing at $7.05. Consolidated Water unchanged at $237. Emira Incorporated up 2 cents, closing at $11.20. The BISX All Share Index closing at 1,938.60, down 1.31. That's your Market Watch, and that is your morning business report brought to you by CFAL, growing wealth for future generations.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
The sun comes up with a burning glow, shines down on paradise below. I'm talking about the Bahamas, you know, a beautiful archipelago. Now go, 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 brag about me beauty. Tell them we friendly. Oh, tell them we proud of we country. Tell them they could come see. Then say I'm proud to be a Bahamian. Proud to be a Bahamian. Proud to be a Bahamian, yes. God gave this land to me. Onward, upward together, boasting our rich culture, inspiring our young and old. With perseverance, we could win gold. Then lift up your heads to the rising sun. Our heroes left us a race to run. Let's protect our sovereignty, yes, together in harmony. Then say I'm proud to be a Bahamian. Oh, I'm proud to be a Bahamian. Ooh, I'm proud to be a Bahamian. God gave this land to me. Though we're small in structure, let's keep marching on, giving thanks to our Maker. The Bahamas is our home. Sing, I'm proud to be a Bahamian. I'm so proud to be a Bahamian. Oh, I'm proud to be a Bahamian. God gave this land to me. I'm proud to be a Bahamian. Oh, na-na-na. Yeah, na-na-na. Sing, 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 sing. I'm proud to be a Bahamian. One more time, sing.
And we are back here with Morning Blend Business on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan with Chester Robards, and he's in studio with us now, Wayne Monroe. We continue our discussion. All right, so we're getting some response to what we've been talking about. Somebody texting in saying, well, we are way more vulnerable than the USA to a COVID spike. The issue is contact tracing efficiency and quality assurance. I don't know if I agree with that text at all. But,
I wouldn't understand what that has to do with a travel visa. Contact tracing should be simple. You should have a list of everyone who flew in on a plane. Quite apart from COVID, there are national security travel regulations that require that. The travel visa doesn't help you with contact tracing because once I leave the airport, you don't know where I'm going at all. And if contact tracing is the purpose of the travel visa, you wouldn't waive it for anybody coming into your country.
Right. Yeah.
So either it is necessary and everyone has to comply with it, or it isn't necessary. And then why put the cost on the persons who you choose to continue to charge?
Yeah. People were talking about this before they announced the waiver, but since it's been announced now, everyone can justifiably question why we have this in place at all. If you were on the fence before.
Well, the only reasonable justification is to drive revenue and to give some private entities some money. If you're going to justify it, that's a justification that you can't argue with.
I did understand that it pays for the website and the upkeep of the site, the whole site to track, the record, the vaccination records, the people coming in and all that stuff. Not vaccination, but the tests. So I don't know how much that costs per year. Maybe we could find that out.
Maybe we could find out how much it would have cost to just use one of the existing government payment portals that they have to do this.
Right.
You have the customs one that does very sophisticated calculations. I have an app now on my phone that I can sit in the airport while I'm waiting to come and decide how I'm going to explain how everything in my bag only add up to 500.
That's true. That's true.
So I get to do my creative accounting
Yeah.
in the foreign airport as opposed to when you're on the pieces of paper when you reach.
So what should we do now with this? You see this, waivers for some, but the rest of us have to pay for it. We still have to go through this. What should we as a people do? What can we do?
We can do a lot. What we are likely to do is a different matter. We could revolt, but we're not a revolutionary kind of people. There's only one Caribbean country with revolutionary kinds of people, and you see what they did last night, but we're not that kind of people. What we should do is leave the government with no doubt that we see what they are doing and that there will be a price for what you are doing. That's what accountability means. Accountability means not necessarily that I deal with you right there and then, if I'm not minded to do that, but that you will pay for your actions at a particular time. The time that governments are held accountable ultimately by the people are at general elections. Short of a general election, civil unrest is another way that people seek to change government policy that's short of revolution.
Well, let's get your views on this, folks. Give us a call, 325-4316, 325-4259, 323-6232. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us, 422-4796.
You mentioned because the word of visa is attached to the health thing. You know, citizens don't need a visa to come into their own country. Is there anything on a constitutional level that there's a problem with that?
Potentially.
Oh, yeah.
You have freedom of movement to enter your country that is subjected to public health concerns. So you can have a concept where a country is, think about the beginning of the COVID incident where you had foreign nationals stuck abroad. Right. Their countries sent charter flights to get them, to bring them back, and then they quarantined them to make sure that they weren't bringing in a contagion. So steps like that are appropriate. So the showing me that you are not infected arguably would be something that you could do. Making me pay, I'm not sure that that is actually something that is, in the words of Article 20, it's 29.2. I don't know that that is reasonably justifiable in a democratic circumstance to meet these circumstances, especially now that they've waived it for foreigners coming in on cruise ships. They cannot show that it is reasonably justifiable.
Right. Wow. And then this brings up another issue that I just thought of, and it's probably not likely for most people, but if you're on the cusp of overstaying in the U.S., and suddenly you kind of denied entry into your own country, what happens then? I mean, you get locked up by ICE in the U.S.?
Well, that is why classically your country can't refuse you entry.
Yeah.
There's an argument that goes that you can't be refused entry at best. Once you come in, you can be forced to quarantine.
Right.
The issue would be, of course, if you test positive, whether or not any airline will board you.
Right.
But that may not be an issue for you if you could jump on a private plane and come on, or jump on a boat and come over.
Right.
But classically, you make a good point that the right to re-enter your country is connected with limits of you staying in other people's countries.
Wow. All right, let's take this call. Good morning, caller. You're on Morning Blend Business.
Hi, good morning.
Hi.
Hi, I had to call this morning. I'm just saying the job they're doing with this contact tracing is, like, I don't know, way below. They don't even go on Richter scale. Me and my family members, we were tested positive for COVID from the early part of June, and I have yet to get a call from the task force to get information from me. One family member they contacted. One. And if my family member didn't call me and tell me that she was tested positive, I was going into the school system to spread the COVID. No one has called, the 6 of us, no one has called anyone yet to get any information on us. And I think it's terrible. It's really bad. And they need to do better, and especially with that clinic in the South, they have some very poor people there, but nasty attitude.
Is that where you got tested?
I went there to get tested, and they told me I cannot just drive. Well, a head nurse who was on duty that morning, she told me I just couldn't pull up there to get tested. I must go and find somewhere else where I could get a paid test or where they do it free. I think her response was to me to say, we can recommend you somewhere to go and get a test. But her attitude was so stink. I was like, and I did tell her, I said, if my car, my driver's side was on the side where you were at, I said I would have gotten locked up today because I would have pulled my mask off and just cough in your face.
Oh, dear.
Wow.
Okay.
That's how nasty she was.
All right.
And I feel as though the government is spending all kind of money on other kind of unnecessary things that they're doing in this country. They should provide free testing. If someone pulls up to a government clinic to say they have COVID and they need to get tested, they shouldn't give persons that kind of attitude.
Yeah.
And I was so tempted to say, just go into work and don't let anybody know. Because no one has called me yet. They called me, well, let me correct that. They called me last week for my son, who recovered in 4 days. Last week. And this was from the beginning of June. And this is not on the top. This is another point I need to bring up with accountability. How in the world does an important government agency like National Insurance run out of a National Insurance card? I filled out an application a while ago, and I went to pick it up on 3 different occasions. They didn't have it ready. But when I went there yesterday, I got a letter that anybody could print off on a computer with this age of technology, a letter to say I have a renewed national insurance number.
Well, it's lack of planning. And that National Insurance would know by its system when your card is due to expire. So I have one that expires in 2022. They really should have a system that tells them, because it can tabulate and aggregate how many cards it will need to replace the ones expiring, assuming everybody comes to renew. They should know how much they need, and you always keep a little extra in case in terms of new registrants. But clearly, it's very poor planning. They're very busy at National Insurance, bringing in new people, although they say they don't have money to afford the increases of the existing staff, bringing in new people, putting them in places that they are out of the ordinary way of hiring, and that has a way of affecting the morale of your core staff. And this is that season where the government is moving to not comply with its hiring protocols, and that tends to demoralize and reduce the morale of the existing staff. But not having sufficient supplies of something you must know you will need, like NIB cards, like driver's license cards, because you know when they will expire, or passport books, because you know when they will expire, is just very poor planning.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we're gonna follow up on that one there, definitely. But she made some interesting points earlier. We've heard that cry throughout this whole pandemic that people were not being notified, and you were just going on by what you knew.
The whole system was operated in breach of the actual laws. And I'll give you an example. My wife tested positive for COVID infection. Without asking me if I live with my wife, they call me and tell me I need to quarantine for 14 days. I was about to raise a legal argument, and then I realized I was talking to a nurse, and so that's above her pay grade. I asked for a supervisor. I thought there would be somebody who might be able to address fundamental rights issue, but that was a more senior nurse. So my disposition was I'm not going to give two nurses headaches who probably overworked, who probably, and they didn't ask to be in it. But the only purpose of quarantining someone is to test them, to test if they are in fact infected. In the 14 days, I was never tested. I was released from quarantine without ever being tested to determine whether I was still positive. So this crew is just lost in space. They walk around talking about the science. But Dame Jones said, you can't subject me to house arrest. I calmly sat for 14 days because at some time I'll sue the government for wrongfully detaining me for 14 days because they're also supposed to give you a card to tell you these things. They never give anyone a card.
Right,
and this
right.
thing about giving you a card is actually written in the emergency regulation that they pass.
Did you
Now-
ever go and get a test independently? Did you ever?
No, I'm not going to feed the COVID industry. I always tell people when this started, the problem I had was the lie that they told that the last pandemic was in 1918. The last major pandemic was in 1968. They happen every 50 years. And that pandemic killed about 4 million people in 18 months when the world only had 3.5 billion people. We have 7 billion now. That would be the equivalent of 8 million people dying from COVID in 18 months. So that pandemic was far more deadly than this one. But they didn't do half of the things we did. And they couldn't do it because in 68, we had just sent millions of young men to die in World War II, hundreds of thousands to die in the Korean War, hundreds of thousands to die in Vietnam, and I believe Vietnam was still ongoing, with this proposition that you could sacrifice the lives of men to vindicate and protect fundamental freedoms like the free movement, like all of these freedoms that we have in this go-round, abrogated, supposedly to save lives. So when 68 rolled around, they had just finished telling the young generation that we will sacrifice your life in war to vindicate these rights, these fundamental rights. So they really couldn't tell them these fundamental rights that we sacrifice you to uphold, we're going to sacrifice them now. But we've not had a war recently where people can come to see the value of fundamental rights, the cost of them. So world leaders have been able to tell us we will take your fundamental right because none of us really have a concept that they were won by the blood of young men.
Wow.
What was the contagion in 68?
Hong Kong flu.
Oh, okay. Oh,
All right, let's take this call, and then we need to take another break. But good morning, caller on the air.
Hi, good morning.
Hi.
Interesting topic debates that I caught. Manu, do you have any cases before the court pending pertaining to these emergency orders and what's been going on from last year as far as state of emergency?
Yes, we have a case that was filed that challenges that there was ever a state of emergency in the Bahamas because an emergency is something that happened abruptly, like a storm. COVID coming to the Bahamas didn't happen abruptly. The Minister of Health says it's not a matter of if COVID comes here, but when. Just like they've recently said, it's not a matter of if the Delta variant will come here, but a question of when. So it won't be an emergency when the Delta variant come here because you're expecting it. You don't expect an emergency.
Wow. All right.
Right? So we're challenging it. And it has been beneficial that this has gone on because a lot of what is now happening shows the foolishness. So like last year, you had a complete countrywide lockdown, 2 people infected, nobody in hospital, nobody had died. And remember, we were locked to our homes for I think it was 3 months. Now we're told the hospitals are full. Plenty of people are infected. People are dying daily, but we're not locked to our homes. So why were we locked to our homes last year when you compare the two circumstances?
Let's take this call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Again, Dwight. Chester, and good morning, QC Wayne Monroe. Good morning to the nation. Also, two quick points on this point that you're discussing, Dwight. What the government is doing as it relates to the discriminatory practice with continually charging Bahamians who are fully vaccinated or whatever the case may be, who seeking to re-enter the country and not passing on that cost to persons who are visiting our country. It's also telling the Bahamian people that this government doesn't care about us. Point blank. That's what it says. That's the end verbalization of their action. They simply don't care what we think. They don't care about us as Bahamian citizens, and they don't value us to the point to make the cost gratis for us. They value persons visiting our country who they feel are going to spend a couple of dollars in our country, but the very people who they govern on behalf of, who are the owners of the country, they don't give two hoots about. Also, when you consider what the Minister of Health, final point, Dwight, can you hear me clearly, by the way?
Yes, yes.
Okay, when you consider what the Minister of Health was stating as it relates to the percentage of persons inoculated in the country, and he was basing that off of persons who would have been proven as infected with COVID-19, that was extremely reckless, and that was grossly negligent on his behalf, because
You said all that earlier, Anton. It's the same show. We remember you said that. Yes, thank you very much. All right. Let's take that break, and when we come back, we've got a few more questions for Wayne Monroe. This is Morning Blend Business on Guardian Radio 96.9. Stay with us.
It takes a village to raise a child, and it takes each and every one of us to grow the Bahamas. On the clock, we dive into the stories, we identify the issues, and we engage the people, organizations, and institutions that keep the country running. On the Clock with Aaron Green, weekdays 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. here on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM.
You invest in your children, your home, and your community. But are you investing in your financial future? At CFAL, we specialize in investment management, retirement planning, mutual funds, and private wealth management. Our team of experts never stops helping you plan for tomorrow. Because tomorrow begins today. Call us at 502-7010 to see what our financial advisors can do for you. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations.
It's happening, and it's all straight talk with no chaser. As Stephen Miller is unleashed on your radio each weekday, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. right here on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. It's gonna be smart talk, ideas, and innovation. Each weekday, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. only on Guardian Radio, your station for fresh news and smart talk. Trust me, you're not gonna want to miss this.
Got a quick final look at weather for today. We've got streaming moisture from the outer rain bands of Tropical Storm Elsa passing over South Florida. That will continue to impact portions of the northwest Bahamas, while a tight pressure gradient associated with Elsa and a building surface ridge of high pressure will generate moderate to fresh winds across the islands. So for today, we're looking at partly cloudy to occasionally overcast, humid and breezy conditions with isolated showers and thunderstorms through tonight in the northwest Bahamas. Variably cloudy, warm and breezy with a chance of isolated showers and thunderstorms through tonight in the central and southeastern islands. High temperatures getting up to around 90 Fahrenheit, 32 Celsius, but the heat index expected to be in the triple digits. You're asked to limit outdoor activities and remain hydrated. Low temperatures tonight getting down to about 76 Fahrenheit, 24 Celsius. In your extended outlook, high pressure expected to build across the area with pleasant conditions for the next couple of days. So look for mostly sunny, hot, and breezy conditions with a chance of a few isolated showers or thunderstorms, becoming fair and breezy at night with a chance of showers and thunderstorms Thursday and Friday. That's your morning blend weather check.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Let's go through the Bahamas, have fun with me. Lots to do and lots to see. Many islands to pick and choose. You may fly or take a cruise. I'll take you to Nassau, the capital. Watch a Junkanoo festival.
And we are back with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio, Morning Blend Business. Dwight Strong with Chester Robards. We're talking with Wayne Monroe about the travel, health visa, and more related to the challenges we're facing with COVID. We got this text here. We've got a few people saying that you can't be objective because of your political affiliations. I don't know if you want to respond to that. But this text here as well saying that Mr. Monroe continues to use intellectual dishonesty when he knows that circumstances and times are different. When COVID started, the world took precautions because it was new, and today we have a lot more information as well as vaccines. He's intentionally leaving out facts that have to be taken into account when comparing world government's actions now compared
We don't
to
have
last year.
vaccines in country. And we don't know when we're going to get them.
Oh, boy.
Do we?
No, we don't. All right, so that leads me to, well, continue. Then when I ask you the next question.
This proposition that you cannot be objective, nobody can be objective. Everybody's views are colored by their particular circumstances. But that's not the point. Some facts are put out. If you can explain, if it's necessary, why a bunch of foreigners can be waived and we don't have to, then by all means, go ahead and explain it.
Yeah.
If you can explain how collecting on your figures, I think they say some $9.8 million, and only ending up with 2.4 million of it is a good deal, by all means, explain it. But everybody has a bias. Sometimes it's based on whether you're male or female, whether you have money, you don't have money, all of that.
Yeah.
But that is not an intellectual approach.
We're all owed an answer, an explanation for what's going on.
If I say
here.
something, then explain it. World leaders, and we don't say it's limited to the Bahamas, because not all world leaders did what we did, but a great number of them seized power. And giving politicians the ability to seize power, you are likely to see the same behavior across the entire world. Power corrupts. Absolute power tends to corrupt. Absolutely. That was said about the Pope, a religious man with power, back when Lord Acton was writing backward and forward. So the sheep who talk about, we have to surrender our rights on the altar of health to a disease from which 99.98% of people recover, well, they're free to surrender their rights. There's no problem with that. If you're afraid and you want to be locked in your home, that is your right. But that's not the question. The question is, should you give politicians worldwide this degree of power? Because they will take it, without exception.
No. You mentioned it. We are running out of vaccine, and we know a lot of businesses were putting timelines, deadlines on employees to get vaccinated, or else. What do you say if you've got an employer telling you that, and you're like, well, where can I get the vaccine? What do you say to those people? Do they have a better case now, a better standing?
Well, the starting point is we're experiencing vaccine apartheid, and you only need to see it when you say produce a card. So it's like in South Africa when you you had to produce your card. The vaccine is supposed to be voluntary because it's still in testing. Dr. Cy-Pierre wrote a very nice article that says we don't have a clue how this will affect fetuses and babies. Why? Because none were born in the trial group. So if you wish to take it, that should be your right. You may be sufficiently afraid of COVID that you see fit to take an experimental drug. Some people might not. You don't know what it's going to do to you long term, but you have that choice to take it now. the CDC, the FDA requires the people in the U.S. to tell you you have a choice to take this or not take it because it is only approved for emergency use. And the one we take isn't approved for emergency use in the U.S. So, it's a matter that I think employers are reckless. And we have a case where we're waiting for a autopsy report to see if that death was caused by the vaccine. We don't know until we see the autopsy report. But certainly, the most offensive thing with this government's vaccine policy is it doesn't even have the limited financial backup that other vaccine programs do. So they say, if you're damaged by this vaccine, we will pay you, and they cap it. We don't have any of that. So they tell us this is very safe, but they're not willing to assume any financial responsibility. And if they really believed it was safe, they would simply say yes, and if it mess you up, we will pay you. We can confidently say that because we know it will not mess you up.
Wow.
But they refuse to do that.
Wow.
And then they trying to force Bahamian people to take something that is still only approved for emergency use, and they're doing it by coercive methods, which is morally dishonest.
Wow. Some powerful words there. We're out of time. We need to have you back so we can pick your brain about this matter with the citizenship ruling and the going to the Privy Council and
We're going back on that next week,
Yeah.
Wednesday, about whether the Court of Appeal can stay the effect of the ruling, and if so, how it can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting. All right, so maybe we'll talk to you after that. Wayne Monroe, thank you so much for being here this morning. Really appreciate it, always.
My pleasure.
All right. Chester Robards, thank you.
Yep, no problem.
And you're going to be off a little bit?
Yep.
Yep. So I'll see you in a few weeks.
See you in a few weeks.
I'll be back tomorrow morning with more Morning Blend business and Morning Blend right here on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan, have a great day, everybody. On the Clock with Aaron Green coming up next.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.